Oh, I'm wearing an apple.
Hello, welcome back. You doing a what?
Oh my god.
Say that again. You doing a what?
No.
Hello, welcome back to another show of Xbox Infinite. Well, that was left field. Yeah, now I'm a little bit thrown. Episode 53. We got a pretty decent show. It's all right. I think it's okay. Today we got some interesting topics, some shit that popped up this morning that I kind of want to talk about. We did have a lead topic, which is the thumbnail. We will get into that. There was some comments from some guys that are here in the chat now, based around what the thumbnail was. A little bit console worry. I know it's just not like me, is it? But before we get into the topics, I'd like to welcome Plume Network. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. It's great to have you on. We appreciate you coming through and giving us your time, man. So what have you been up to? Have you had a chance to play any of these new games? A lot's dropped. We've had Need for Speed, Calisto Protocol, Evil West last week. Man, there's just games coming left, right, and center at the back end of the year. Midnight Suns as well. So how's your week been? What have you been playing?
Yeah, no, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Talk about games. Always enjoy that. I've been this week gotten back onto Xbox. Before that, I've been trying to get through God of War Ragnarok, and I finished that up on the weekend. So this week has been dedicated just jumping into some Game Pass stuff I hadn't checked out yet. So I've been playing some Vampire Survivors. I've been playing some Gungrave Gore. And then I jumped into Need for Speed Unbound last night for about 2-3 hours, and just super surprised at how fun that game was. It almost seems like it just came out of nowhere and they didn't market it, and here it is. And I'm just happy that we get that trial to check it out.
Yeah, I actually played a little bit. It's up on the screen right now. I didn't get a chance to render up all my stuff and put up all the little nice things that pop up on the screen last night, but I definitely, I really enjoyed it. But we'll get into that later. DoomCutie, welcome back to the show. Hope you're feeling better.
Hi.
How's your week been? What have you been playing? You got an Xbox again, so that's awesome.
Yes, I do. I'm so grateful for it. Very, very humbled. The community has been so supportive, so thank you all.
Yeah, it's awesome. What have you been playing? What have you been up to?
This week I've been playing Need for Speed Unbound, enjoying it. I have thoughts. I will share them soon, I'm sure. I've also been obviously playing World of Warcraft, and I actually jumped into Call of Duty last night. Terrible time. But probably because I'm terrible at the game. But anyway.
Yeah, look, I haven't had much time on Xbox at all. I've been the same as Plume. I finished God of War. I do have some thoughts on that. Maybe I'll throw them in later in the show. Pete, how you doing?
I haven't played that yet.
You haven't played it yet? Yeah, I got.
No, I'm saving it for the holidays. I want to spend a good 12 hours just straight just playing it.
Yeah, I don't know if you could manage that. You need stamina for that one. It's not 2018. It's full of bloat, which is upsetting because it was my game of last generation. Pete, how's your week been? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? There's a lot to play.
Yeah, way too much to play. Loving Calisto Protocol. I'm got a message from Boba yesterday saying that I'm addicted to COD, and that's probably true because I'm on Prestige level 4. Saying, what else have I been playing? I downloaded the trial for Need for Speed Unbound. Really enjoying that game. I've been playing Evil West with Monad. We're about up to chapter 13 now, so we're getting through that. And yeah, just been a great week of gaming. Australia's through to the round of 16 in the soccer, and the cricket's on today. So sport,
I knew
gaming,
it was coming.
Awesome.
I knew it was coming. I knew he was going to mention the cricket at some stage.
Double ton by Steve Smith and Marcus Labuschagne. I mean, how can you go wrong? And also, thank you, massive thank you to Red Wolf Renegade. I do have a code to give away later on the show. It is strictly an American code, guys, but anyone can grab it. I'll be putting it in the chat at some time.
Absolutely, and maybe if you're not American, you can sell it. Just give it to me. Umbra, how you doing? How's your week been? I haven't seen any of the guys for 2 weeks, really. I've been a pony. Umbra ponied with me for a while, and he's back and I'm back. We both jumped on Calisto Protocol last night. How you doing? How's your week been? What else have you been playing besides Calisto Protocol? Because we're about to get into that.
I mean, back to the Xbox side of things. Beep bop boop. No, I've been good, man. Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear you guys again. Yeah, it has been a while actually since I've actually really got the chance to talk with you guys. I mean, I talked with Pete, I think like once the past week because we played a bit of Halo and such together, everybody, with the community night.
Mhm.
But other than that, yeah, I haven't had a chance really to get together and game with anybody. But Callisto is actually decent, and it's crazy because I was this close to returning it. You know, I was expecting the reviews to be a little stronger, and then so typically I don't go off anybody else's reviews, but I will give them some credence to see how consistent the issues are with everybody. And it was a lot of consistent issues reported that I was like, man, that's not sounding good. And honestly, it got way lower meta and you know what you call it? I forgot the other one.
Open Critic.
But it got it. There you go, Open Critic. It got a much lower score than I expected it to get. But 70s and such is still a good game, so that's not bad. It's just I expected it at least to be in the 80s. But from what I've played, I haven't had any issues. I played about 3 hours worth. I'm liking it, so I didn't return it. And I did try a bit of the Need for Speed out, by the way, as well. It was okay. I wasn't like blown away by it, but I think it's maybe Forza rot for me. I don't know. I think I played too much Forza to go back to anything else.
Yeah, look, it's got really interesting score. Let's jump straight into Callisto, and I will go back to you, Umbra, because we were back and forthing last night while you're at work, and then you headed home and jumped on it. And I was kind of saying, like, after you told me the reviews were bad, and I was like, damn, I'm going to check this out before I played like maybe 10 minutes. Heard the reviews were bad, went checked it out, checked out SkillUp's review, had a look at IGN's review, and fuck you, IGN, for your spoilers. Honest to God, if you're going to spoil shit, man, like,
terrible.
Please tell people at the start of the damn review, like, really pissed me off. However, yeah, the reviews were really middling. And I was a little bit kind of worried. But then after playing for a bit, and I kind of set back to Umbra, I was, look, if you like Dead Space, if that's your thing, then I think you will like this. It's definitely not without its problems. Some stuff happened this morning all over Twitter and with the DF review. There's some things missing from the Xbox Series X version. So ray tracing doesn't work as intended. The developers have said that's not intended. It is missing ray trace reflections. And there's also an issue with the ambient occlusion. The fog is not reproducing the right color gamut. So there's something going on there. It is optimization. Also, in that ray tracing quality mode, it drops frames drastically, sometimes down to as low as 22 frames per second. It doesn't really stutter, but it does drop the frames hard. So listen, I'm pretty disappointed with the release. I'm a big Glenn Schofield stan. But at the end of the day, you have to call a spade a spade. And this really has, I think, a lot to do with the fact that they have had, I think it was something like 130 developers directly from PlayStation working on the game. I think personally, the game is amazing. I'm loving it. Visually, it's stunning, like unbelievable. The combat is good, but not suited to multiple foes. So you can't have more than one foe at a time. It kind of starts to fall down there. There's no indicator to tell you someone's behind you. You don't know when to dodge if someone's behind you. And it only works up. It's perfect for a single one-to-one combat. It's just not quite right for multiple foe combat. But it's still, I don't think it's bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. I'm enjoying it. I think I will enjoy it. I think if you like Dead Space, you will enjoy it. But I think this is a perfect example of a game that probably should have been delayed or should have at least been a timed exclusive, which I hate to say. I hate to say that PlayStation should have had a timed exclusive. But if you haven't got it optimized for every other system other than one system, then delay the damn game. I would probably have played this game due to the fact that it's got 3 different types of ray tracing in it in quality mode, and it looks damn amazing. Look, Umbra, I'm going to go back to you, and you were really worried last night. You were talking about returning the game, and then you jumped in. You were going to play an hour and a half or so, and then if it wasn't for you, you were going to return it. What are your thoughts now on the game?
Well, I'm glad I talked with you about it because, like I said, my thoughts literally were like, I gotta. And I was so excited before that. I mean, all of us were. And then I started seeing the feedback. I'm like, I know you guys like skill up a lot, and he flat out was like trashed it. And I don't normally see that from him. Like the way I read it, it would look like no, like don't do this. And he's basically like he doesn't recommend it. A lot of stuttering issues. Combat is terrible, etc., etc. And I'm like, your combat has to be right, you know. So it really discouraged me at first, and you know I already paid for it. Now, luckily, like me, I told you guys I don't pay $70 for games, so I refuse to. So I used my Microsoft reward points, and it took off a good $34 and some change for me. So I got it for $40-something. And that's
Sorry,
how I'll
Umbra, was it
continue.
$70 in the States? Because it wasn't in Australia. If you pre-ordered it, it was that $100 mark. It wasn't that 110.
Sheesh. I mean, I know it's like I know that it's like in you guys tax difference and such. Like it's always stunning to hear that $100 mark for a game. I'm like, nope. But yeah, but I know it's not. I guess it's the difference, you know, between a dollar. But sheesh, that's hard to hear. But yeah, man, it was $70 here for sure for the Xbox X version and the Series S version. But I noticed they did have an Xbox One version as well. But why would I do that? You know, if I'm going to get it, I might as well get the supposed best version, right? But yeah, man. You know, the thing I think what I took away from it is just visually is gorgeous. Like there is no question about it. And it's not just like pretty little, you know, backgrounds and such and particle effects. It's the detailing and the armor and everything like that, or the equipment that you have, or and you know, clothing. It's just like really detailed. I mean, even have such a good detail on the skin of the humans and such. It's just really detailed and really nice to look at. That I took away from it, and the combat isn't so terrible as it is clunky in a sense, and it's because of the lack of hit detection when it comes to not hit detection but hit warnings when it comes to dealing with multiple enemies. So that makes it frustrating when you have more than one enemy coming at you, because sometimes some of the damn demons will come from behind and hit you. You have no idea that they're there. They just knock you and you around, and you'll turn around like, oh, now I have to fight this thing. And I'm trying to deal with both, and sometimes, you know, they take a lot of energy when they hit you, and so it's problematic for that reason. So I got about 3 hours in, and man, I got past that point of like no return, because 2 hours you can return it, but by the time I got to an hour and so maybe hour 45, I was really into it. So I just kept going, and I enjoyed it from what I've had time I've had with it. So far I'm excited for it. I don't know if I played in performance or not. I didn't really check. But I've enjoyed it so far. So I so far would recommend it. I don't know how many hours the game offers, but 3 hours, I'm enjoying it.
I think it's around about 8 to 10 hours from what I've heard. Plus, there'll be DLC. I'm sure that there'll be a patch. Look, Plume, I'm going to go to you and just on your thoughts on what you think that possibly Calisto should have done. Do you think that they should be releasing a game that's not optimized at the bare minimum for PC, let alone its competition console, comes out on PlayStation with everything that it should have, and yet doesn't come out on its opposing system? Do you think there's anything behind this, or do you think this is just the fact that they didn't have time to optimize it and probably should have delayed it?
Yeah, no, I think they definitely should have delayed it. The whole reviews and everything that's going on with the game today, everything just seems off. When they announced that the embargo was the date of release for the reviews, that's usually a bad sign that something's wrong with the game. Probably a performance issue, probably something that should be delayed. But you think about the entire situation with like the difference in the Xbox version, the PS5 version, with the ray tracing and all that type of stuff, doesn't really make any sense. We know that PlayStation had 150 developers on the game. So obviously they spent the majority of their time optimizing this game for the PS5, especially with all the stuff we're seeing for PC. It's a really weird situation. I was pretty hyped for this game before it came out. I wanted to play it. I was going to pick it up. But like Umbra, I'm with him. I look at reviews. I don't put that much weight on people's opinions of like the story and all that type of stuff. It's pretty subjective. One thing I do look for though that I think is objective in all reviews, that if it's across the board and everyone's having all of these issues with the game, then there's significant issues that the game should have been delayed for. So that's why I'm going to wait a bit. Hopefully they can patch it. It's just the entire thing with Xbox, and then the Xbox One version and an Xbox Series version. I could be wrong on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like generally when you're buying games on Xbox, you literally just buy the game. The smart delivery kicks right in. The fact that they didn't opt into that, again, just another red flag. Weird stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. It's actually, I think it's possibly could be the first, or it's definitely the first that I have seen not using smart delivery. I was pretty confused a few weeks back when I was buying the game and looking at the versions. And yeah, you had 4 versions. You had your 2 deluxe versions and your 2 standard versions, and one Xbox Series X and S version and one Xbox One version, which I haven't seen happen before. So that was also pretty weird. And you're right, when an embargo does come right up to the release date, that is usually a red flag. I don't think it's that terrible, but I think if you're not going to optimize your game, man, just timed exclusive it, or late release it, or delay it, or whatever you got to do. Pete, did you get a chance to actually have a crack at Calisto Protocol, and what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I did. I had a bit of a go last night, but I had been up for a while, so I went back this morning and played it again. I got about an hour through it, and I have stayed away from all reviews because, look, I really wanted a narrative-driven game, and this, I think this is the very first game we had on the Put This On Your Radar segment, Riskit. So I've been looking forward to this game for a while. So I haven't watched skill ups, I haven't watched IGNs. I completely stayed away from the reviews, and I love it. I mean, I gotta say, I love it. Yes, the combat is a little bit clunky. I have to say the dodge mechanics isn't the best. So basically, you've got to hold the left thumbstick either to the left or the right fully, and you will instantly dodge. I wish there was some kind of skill level involved in that. I think, like, I would have preferred it if they maybe added a timing system to it, so you had to do it like within a certain amount of time. In saying that visually, this game is stunningly beautiful. The facial animations are probably the best I've seen. I mean, that's Josh Jamel. I don't know what her name, the beautiful young Asian lady from The Boys is also in it. I mean, you can tell exactly who these characters are. It's absolutely beautiful. I tried it both on both performance and quality mode just to see the difference. Their fire effects definitely look better in quality. The particle effects definitely look better in quality. I couldn't really notice that much of a difference between the 30 and the 60. Maybe that's just me. I didn't notice that much of a difference. I understand it completely where Umbra's coming from. If you're fighting 2 enemies at once, it's incredibly difficult not to get injured. And the big problem I had with it is when they do hit you, they hit you hard. Like, you only need to get hit maybe a couple of times and you're dead. So that was a little bit annoying. I'm hoping as I progress, I get a little bit better. We get more armor. I get more health. Things along those lines. There's exploration in it, so you can get into different rooms and open lockers and find, Callisto credits or health packs to help you through. So far, the story seems great. What they're going for, that Dead Space, that eerie vibe, I think is really, really hitting. The fog effects adds to that. The jump scares have been really good so far. So looking forward to playing it more. But so far, yeah, I'm loving it. It's just been great.
Yeah, and I think if you like Dead Space, you're gonna like this. Is what I was saying to Umbra last night. I think watching Skill Up's review as I did, he did talk about the lack of exploration. It's truly a linear game, and that it truly is a linear game. There is little rooms that you can sneak off and explore. It's not a hugely exploration-based game, and that's fine for what it is. It's doing what it is going to do, like what they said it was going to do. It wasn't marketed any different way. We kind of knew, if you knew Dead Space, you knew what you were getting out of this experience, and I'm happy. Personally, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm enjoying it. It's just the optimization issues that are a bit of an issue for me, because I wanted to see that ray tracing. And it's the first time we've seen on console a game use 3 different types of ray tracing, and that's pretty stunning. And it's great to see as well that a game like this can be optimized this as beautiful as it is to 60 frames per second. This game is still not fully using the CPU either. That's something else that was brought up by Digital Foundry. It's not like Gotham Knights, but like Gotham Knights, they're not fully maxing out the CPU when it does hit bottlenecks. So it's pretty interesting that you can squeeze this much performance out of a game. There is issues with it. I'd like to say I kind of can't wait for a patch, and I'll probably go through it again if it's 8 to 10 hours. I've played Dead Space, I think, 3 times now, so I'll probably go back through this again, maybe twice. Cutie is, from what you've been hearing, what you've been seeing, and I know that horror games really aren't your thing, but are you interested at all in playing Callisto Protocol?
Look, Callisto Protocol, despite its horror genre, it does look like a beautiful game. And if the gameplay isn't there, and the communities and the reviews are all agreeing, I feel like that's such a shame. Like they had such a beautiful story building up to the game's release. Like there was little snippets of like radio contact between ships and things like that. And like obviously they have some actors, that we know from TV series, from movies in there as well. So I just, it is disappointing, but I feel like it will be patched. It will be fixed. But I think someone in the chat asked, is this a AAA game? And in a few interviews with different people, they have said that it is. So if it's a AAA game, it should come out perfect. There should be no issues. So it is disappointing to hear this, but I do think it will be fixed.
Absolutely.
Didn't you shared something, by the way, didn't you? You should read that. I think that's pertinent to what he's talking about. And I would say too, by the way, the camera, I don't care for the camera being that close. I wish they kind of pulled out a bit or allowed you to pull a bit out.
Backed out a little bit, didn't it? Just a little bit.
If I on Reddit, if you're a Reddit person, there's a whole community just for Callisto Protocol. And in a tweet, someone, spoke about the stuttering, and one of the lead developers said, being fixed, a wrong file was patched any minute, just a freaking error by someone rushing. So what does that say about a game? And that's, that's on Twitter, that's a public space. So I don't know if it's been deleted since, because this is just a picture. But yeah, concerning.
Yeah, and that's by Glenn Schofield. So he's the one speaking on it. So
yeah, Glenn Schofield.
Right.
It's just for PC, but it's just for PC.
So he said it was an error by someone rushing. But he was also I love Glenn Schofield, and he is a very old school developer. But he was on Twitter a month ago talking about crunch, and how they're pushing the team hard. And he got absolutely slayed, had to delete the tweet. So, I mean, to come out and then say, hey, someone was rushing. Well, you were kind of pushing him, bud. I don't think you can really do that. Yeah. Well, it's good to see Colin Moriarty turn up in the chat. We'll move on to our next topic, which definitely has to do with Colin Moriarty. But before we do, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share us out. We go live every Friday, 7 p.m. EST, until you guys go to daylight savings or come out of daylight savings. I'm not sure which one you're in. But yeah, earlier in the week, Colin Moriarty had some things to say about games. Now, you guys are going to be, and there's a couple of guys in the chat that had some comments under the show promo about the thumbnail. And I'll say this, I have been in a space and we have talked at length about this. And it's actually where I think we met Garuda Intruder, and a conversation about this. And this is my take on this. He said a couple of things. He said he doesn't believe, Phil, that Game Pass is profitable. We'll move on to that in a minute. But what he also said is Psychonauts is not Xbox's games, Deathloop is not Xbox's game, and Ghostwire is not Xbox's game. You guys are going to think I have a bit of a weird take on this, but let me be brutally honest, because I'm always, I say what I think. I know a lot of people might think I'm a bit of a fanboy, but I sort of agree. And this is the way I kind of see things. Psychonauts is a very nuanced one. You can't say it's not Xbox's game. You can't say it is Xbox's game, because Psychonauts was helped dramatically by Microsoft money and by Xbox publishing studios. So that is look, it's got Xbox's hands in it. So Psychonauts, out of those 3 games he mentioned, could probably be considered an Xbox game. But again, it spent most of its development time outside of the purview of Xbox. And so I would agree, you can't consider that game in an Xbox game spiritually. Now, technically, all of these games are Xbox games. They are first-party IP. That's a fact. But spiritually, and when you talk about it like from a point of view, now before I move on to Deathloop, yes, I also don't consider Spider-Man a first-party game, although people would argue that PlayStation had their fingers in that one as well. So I get that as well. You can definitely argue that point, and you can argue that point with Psychonauts. Deathloop and Ghostwire, these games were developed completely outside of Xbox. They are not, in my point of view, Xbox games. And I think that what Colin was getting at when he said this is that we can't see, you can't see what Xbox is going to do insofar as a publisher with the studios that they acquired in Arcane, Tango, and Double Fine. You can't see what effect that Xbox is going to have on those studios, be it good or bad. A lot of people would like to say it's bad. Some people would probably say I believe it's going to be a good effect. I mean, money is it's always going to help a studio, right? And Microsoft has a lot of that. So I understand what Colin's saying. However, if you're going to the wire and you're talking about technically these games are Xbox games, it's just a little bit annoying that it came from Colin Moriarty, and I think he's extremely hard on Xbox. But I understand where he's coming from. I still think he's a dick. Plume, I want to go to you and just get your take on, look, how do you see these games? I understand what he's saying. I really do. Maybe sometimes people are a little bit hard on him because he is a Sony fanboy, and I get that. I understand that from an Xbox fanboy point of view. Would you consider these Xbox games? Are these examples of what Xbox can do, or are they more examples of what those studios can do, and we haven't really seen what Xbox can do with them yet?
Well, I mean, they are all Xbox games. Like, no matter how you want to slice it, they're Xbox games. Xbox is going to be making the money off of these games, where they can go and take that money and invest it in sequels and more games and Game Pass stuff. So it's the argument itself, I think, is just kind of a waste of time to argue whether these are Xbox games or not Xbox games. They are Xbox games. They're owned by Microsoft. But I understand his point. Like, Deathloop, obviously that game was like essentially done, right? When they got Bethesda. Ghostwire, yeah, that game was done. So I get that stuff. When you look at Psychonauts 2, that's one where I'm a little bit less on, like, it's not Xbox's game, in the sense that we've seen a lot of stuff come out where Double Fine talked about this, Xbox talked about this, that Psychonauts 2 may have never actually launched if it wasn't for Xbox's help, just from like the financial perspective. And Double Fine talked about how they were able to add in like bosses and just make the game as good as it was. Like, I would be highly doubtful if Xbox didn't purchase Double Fine that we would have gotten anywhere near the experience that we got with Psychonauts 2, just because of that injection of money that was put into it. But it's the argument itself. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of, like I said, there are Xbox's games. One thing that a lot of people never look at, I find that like I don't have anything against Colin. I actually think his content and like his podcast and his group there, they actually do a really good job. They criticize PlayStation. They look at stuff relatively objectively. I don't really have any issues with them. But when you look at the way that PlayStation guys look at games, and you look at the way that video games are in general, I feel like if a game doesn't meet that like cinematic quality, like have these like big cutscenes and have that like really high production value in terms of the cinematic style of it, everyone always thinks about it as like a lower tier, lower quality of game. But you look at some of the stuff Xbox has been putting out, and they're games that, if these studios like Obsidian wasn't under Xbox, Rare, I know that Rare's been pretty rough, but they still were able to release Sea of Thieves. Those types of games, like, would they have ever been greenlit by PlayStation, right? Because they're much riskier, and we get such a variety of experiences on the Xbox side of things compared to the PlayStation side of things. So whether it's Xbox's games or not, they are technically all Xbox games. I mean, that's just that's the facts of the matter with that.
Yeah, look, I absolutely. And when I say that he's a dick, that's not because I think he's Look, I do think he's pretty unfair a lot of the time, but it's just more of his arrogance that bothers me, if I'm going to be completely honest. The guy's extremely arrogant, and, I'm not completely against arrogance. A lot of men have arrogance. However, his is just a little bit too. Umbra, what are your thoughts on it? We've had really good conversations about this in Spaces, and I kind of know where you stand, and you very much know where I stand, and I can understand what he's saying. But I think maybe his delivery needs work. What do you think that these games aren't really Xbox games, and we haven't seen Xbox kind of show its quality as a publisher insofar as who they have purchased, since 2018?
Yeah. Speaking of, before I get to that point, I see Pete dropped a code. I'm not sure what that's about. Pete, you want to drop an intro?
That's a Payday 2 code. It's an American one, so if anyone else gets it, you'll have to get a VPN or give it to someone in America. But it is a code for Payday 2 Crime Edition, courtesy of Red Wolf Renegade. So thank you very much to him. Absolutely.
And if you guys get that code, please let us know that you got the code. It's a pet hate of mine when people don't thank the people who drop the code in the chat. Umbra, is Psychonauts an Xbox game?
Yeah, it is. I mean, as one of our chat members pointed out, the game would not have been made the way it was. I believe it was Garuda. I'm not sure, but because I kind of forget. But they said, and they pointed out correctly, that the game they themselves spoke on it and said the game would not have been made had it not been Microsoft, funding them to get certain things done. So for that reason, yeah. Now people will get very technical and say, well, it's on PlayStation and so on and so forth or whatever. And that's understandable. In the game, a large portion of it at least was made before it got, they got acquired. But at the end of the day, I don't go off of technical. I'm going off of what the actuality is. So, a Diablo 4, for instance, was made largely before Microsoft did anything to acquire ABK. But by the time next year rolls around, which is a month from now, not even rest of this month rather, and it releases, I'm more than for sure it'll be launching into Game Pass. So at that point, who cares? So the argument is dead for a few reasons though, right? And I get what he's trying to say on that, but the man, it's like you pointed out, it's the tone of what he says, and he's trying to say it in a way to come off negative to that. Now people will point out, well, he's like that with PlayStation and such. Yeah, it's to give validity to him saying anything negative about Xbox, but he dresses what he says about them differently, in my opinion. But just to say, because we had this discussion in a space, and I actually had it the other day when I had a space, talking about Pentiment and God of War. It's irrelevant whether Microsoft, was there to help and pay for development of those games before they released, after they acquired them, because those studios are largely run and doing what they're doing regardless on their own. Microsoft, as we've come to find, has very little interference when it comes to these developers doing what they're doing. They're not dictating to them what to do. They don't interfere in their creativity, and they've allowed creativity from what we've seen in passion projects such as Pentiment, such as Grounded, because of them actually giving the budget to these teams, however small they are, to do what they want to do. So they encourage developers instead of anything else. But for instance, in Bethesda, regardless if they're acquired or not, they're acquired now, and Microsoft isn't dictating to them what to do with their games. They're still going to do what they do. So being owned by Microsoft is irrelevant to them. Their game would have come out the same way regardless.
I see your point. But
yeah.
do you think, because I'm a little bit passionate, I held a space about this, so I'm a little bit passionate about how people refer to games, and I will argue my point fervently. But however, what do you think? And I think we've seen it, but do you think that another way to look at this is when Bethesda start developing a new, say Arcane, the makers of Deathloop, start developing a new game, do you think it's possible that they might be given too much freedom, too much rope, and that might affect the quality of the game that they put out in development? And based on that, looking at it in a positive way, I mean, you wouldn't think that having too much rope to hang yourself with would be like a bad thing. A development studio with complete freedom should be a good thing. it possibly might be a bad thing. We don't know. But do you think that that based on that, like we need to really see if Xbox's management style, is going to work, is the way to go? Is this what we're talking about when we talk about we haven't seen Microsoft really publish anything?
Yeah, I mean, we've had the discussion before too, all of us, right? And we talked about that, and it could be a case of them being too lenient when it comes to being hands-on, and we've had that discussion particularly for Halo. Funny enough, it being on the screen, right? So we've had that discussion, and it came across. The thought was, well, maybe they were too lenient when it came to being hands-on with the flagship title such as Halo. I think it's a case-by-case thing, and for me, seeing how 343 was floundering here and there on past games, they should have been much more hands-on for this one, in my opinion, anyway. So I think it's a case-by-case study. But when you have studios who routinely do well and don't need that oversight, then you don't have to give them the oversight. You just tell them what, have them make sure there's open line of communication as far as what date you should be expecting the game to hit a certain mark, et cetera, et cetera. And some teams are just more quality than others. It's just the truth, right? You got an Obsidian who gets their stuff out and they get it out on time. They're workhorses. I don't think Microsoft has to be as much hands-on with them as they would 343. Coalition, the same way. You know what I mean? So it's a case-by-case study when it comes to that, in my opinion.
Well, absolutely. As Hargate said in the chat, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Hargate. But as he said in the chat, the head of ZeniMax at the moment is Pete Hines, and he suddenly isn't going to be entirely different. They will have the same quality, if not better, going forward. Yeah, look, I tend to agree. However, under different conditions, different leaders and different leadership can have a different effect. So, look, it's a possibility. Pete, do you think that Colin's being a little bit hard? Do you think can you see where he's coming from? I absolutely do. Don't get me wrong. I really do not like the man for many reasons. The arrogance is one, but when he says that Deathloop, Ghostwire, they're not Xbox games, they haven't been published by Xbox games, and Xbox is yet to prove itself, I categorically disagree with him on Psychonauts. I really have to say. And as you guys said in the chat, and you'll see me play devil's advocate a lot, guys. But yeah, with Psychonauts, that's 110% had Xbox fingers in the pie, and that is an Xbox game. But Pete, what do you think about Deathloop, Ghostwire, and the fact that Xbox really hasn't shown its chops yet? And Halo is a bad example of Xbox showing its chops as well. So worry.
Yeah, look, I actually do agree. We need to see more from Xbox's first party. It's as simple as that. Do I like his take? No. Does it need to be out there? No. But look, everybody's out there giving their opinion. It'd be very, very boring if everybody just did the status quo. So I can understand what he's doing. And look, it's drummed up, a lot of people talking about it. We're talking about it right now, and that might bring people to his channel and might bring people to recognize who Colin Moriarty is if they don't know who he is. So I understand sort of what he's doing. It's a tough one. What does Microsoft do? Because we saw what happened with Crackdown 3. It wasn't a very good situation because they tried to push that cloud gaming, and it just didn't turn out well. The game suffered incredibly because of it. And I think Rise was also in the same boat where they were trying to push the Kinect. And the game Rise, although very, very good and criminally underrated, did suffer because it went through years of being developed as a Kinect game. So, I mean, I just don't know. Do I think all teams need to be given free reign? No, I think some teams need to be pulled in. I think Rare and the Everwild example is a good one. I think that they lost complete direction. The Everwild IP didn't really know where to go, so I think they needed to be pulled back a little bit. I think Halo is another good example where they were just given way too much time. I know there were other factors that you have to consider, like they had to make the engine at the same time, but developing 6 or 7 different styles of Halo, I think, was just completely unnecessary. The game suffered and development took too long. So, but then, I mean, there's teams like the the Forza Horizon team, Playground Games. I mean, you can just let them do whatever they're going to do, and you know it's going to turn out well. I have complete faith in them making Fable. Yes, I get they're the racing team, but hey, everything that they've ever put out just bleeds and screams quality. I think you can maybe say the same thing about the guys that are making Senua's Saga. Senua's Sacrifice. I'm not sure which is what this one's called. I think that like they're aiming to be, the preeminent developers. They want to be, listed, with the best. So I think they can give them a little bit of free reign. Same kind of thing with Obsidian in Exile. They're proven teams that know how to make games. So yeah, I think Umbra's completely right. It's not an either or. It's you look at the team that you're working with, you see what they need, and you give them what they need. Whether that be more management help, whether that must just be completely hands off. I know we're going to talk about it later, but in the Todd Howard interview, he suggested that he's now the game Starfield is going to be a console seller, and that brings with it a certain level of
Pressure
that they've never had before. That they actually have to sell a console with their games. So that's a level that they've never had to deal with before. But he also suggested that the Microsoft team that made the console is going through how to bring out the best of that console. So he's loving working hand in hand with them. So yeah, like I said, I think it's an either or thing. Colin Moriarty's just doing his job. Do I think he did it in a good way? Would I have done it in the same way? Probably not. I think it's very antagonistic the way he did it. But in saying that, Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo were developed prior to the acquisition. I mean, they were pretty much done. Psychonauts, a little bit of a different story. That game got heavily iterated on after the acquisition, and more money got pumped into it.
And I think just to add, I think part of the reason and the lack of like why we have issues with Colin too, to me, the man is he lacks charisma, right? Like he's intelligent as hell when he talks. He clearly knows what he's talking about when it comes to this type of stuff. So I'm not trying to write him off. But when he talks, he's like, yeah, I mean, he just sounds like a downer. So every time I hear him, I'm like, just stop talking to me, please. I can't. It's hard for me to listen to this dude. I'm going to be honest with you. But again, it goes back to this, just to say, and Pete hit it on the head too. The fact is, all of these developers tend to do what they're going to do. Microsoft is not hindering them by acquiring them. So whether they acquired them or not, the only thing Microsoft is going to do is give them more time to develop their game, which is a positive. Or I see Steph is teabagging somebody on the screen. Or they're going to give them more time to develop what they're going to do, or such as if we've seen in the case of Starfield, right? Which is a quality thing. That's a good thing, and they're going to stay out of the way. In most cases, what's the negative there? What is the harm? I can't find any, So again, I don't see any negative takeaway from Microsoft acquiring them. And to say that Microsoft didn't do anything, whatever, it's also irrelevant because even if they didn't budget the game, they acquired them, right? So they're effectively now Microsoft.
Yeah, I think
because those games are going to be made the way they're going to be made anyway.
In his reference, though, I'm still playing devil's advocate, but I slightly agree with him, so it's not just devil's advocate. But what he's saying is it's no proof that Xbox can produce a quality game. That's basically what it comes down to. That's basically what he's getting at.
Right, but what does that entail, though, Risk? Like, what does that entail? Because it's not like it's Phil Spencer and team going over there to develop the game.
Absolutely.
Or Sony, or for that instance, vice versa. It's not, Ryan going over there to help develop the game. They're just funding them. That's all it comes down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think when we reference Psychonauts, I mean, that is something that, or even Calisto Protocol, Psychonauts. You look at that, and we'll get into what Todd Howard said later, but what Pete brought up about Todd Howard, saying that it's they've got an Xbox team in there, the engineers really helping them, and his exact words were make that console sing. And you can see that in Sony's games, and they do that. And we really haven't seen that in full from Xbox yet. That's not to say it's not going to happen either, and that's not to take anything away from Xbox. From coming from me, I think he was directly trying to take something away from Xbox when he did that and when he said that. But I'm not. But I completely agree. We haven't seen the power of the Xbox development team, the power of their engineers, the power of the console, and we haven't seen the power of them as a publisher. And look, it's a little bit late coming. Let's be honest. It is. It's 110% late coming. That's not to say it's not going to happen though. And the way that he's talking about it is saying it's they can't do it, or they're not going to do it, or we've seen or we need to see in Xbox is bad. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's a little bit late coming. Xbox should have done better, in my personal opinion, and I expect better from them. But he's also, and I hate to say, Phil said he heard us. I think he expects better from his teams as well. And I'm not being unfair. There's definitely reasons why they are in the situation that they are in. But they have done some amazing things this generation. They've been really consumer friendly. Game Pass has been absolutely amazing. I'm not taking anything away from Xbox. I'm just saying in their first party offering and what they've published so far hasn't been a good representation of what I think Xbox is capable of. I'm going to move to Cutie. But before I do, Mr. Joe in the Dark asked a question, and I'll take this to you, Cutie. He said he wants to know our thoughts about why Xbox doesn't get the credit they deserve as a platform, meaning Game Pass, in having diverse games, while Sony doesn't get criticism for their lack of diversity. Yeah, I think they do, Joe. I really do think they do.
Yeah.
But Cutie, what do you think?
I think more so than ever, PlayStation does get a bit of pushback because they do lack diversity. But I probably would say we all know that the large media groups have been very Sony friendly. Whether that's money, I don't know the reason, but it just seems like it's always been that way, and Xbox has always been the underdog. So, but since Game Pass, I think things have changed, and I'm really the future's bright for Xbox, especially 2023. People are saying it's very popular on Twitter now. People are like, yeah, 2023 is going to be the year for Xbox, and I really hope that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will be. If you look at the slate of what they've got coming.
I was looking at Colin Moriarty's LinkedIn. I don't know if any of you have actually looked, but he doesn't I don't know. I don't know how he ended up in the position that he was in, because he worked at IGN for 12 years. But his bachelor's degree is in American history, concentration history. It's a Bachelor of Arts. So I don't know. But someone wants to marry him.
Him working at IGN is all the proof I need not to listen to him now.
Yeah, 12 years and 3 months. He was associate editor, then senior editor over that time. And then all of a sudden he just founded his own stuff. So
yeah, no,
the man being
at E3 and different other gaming events.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not so much what you know; it's who you know in this industry.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
exactly
most
correct.
industries, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. But he did actually was a founding member of Kind of Funny Games as well. Then he stepped out of Kind of Funny Games after some pretty serious issues, which we won't talk about. And he tried to pursue a political career, and then ended up creating Sacred Symbols.
Last Stand Media.
Yeah, so
Last Stand Media. Yeah,
he's had a bit of a checkered past. But look, I'm going to move on from this topic. And before I do, I'm going to say this: I am going to be putting some Calisto gameplay on screen. It's the first half an hour of the game. If you don't want to see it, don't watch it, please. I'm just letting you know now. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. And I'll also say, please hit the like button, subscribe if it's your first time here. Let's move on to the next topic because, look, it's
in saying that, there won't be many spoilers. You really won't be able to pick up much just by watching it. You really need
that's
to listen
okay. You
to
can
it
just
as well.
listen. You don't have to watch. You can just listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. We have amazing voices. Anyway,
what was that?
moving on. That was
Sounded like he was trying to lower his decibels. Was that your attempt, Riskit?
that was I'm speaking
He's
normally.
dropping-
I don't know what you're talking about.
Boys.
I think he's getting his bot parts back. He's adjusting. That's all.
Spoiler alert! It stutters. Wow, Sappho.
Look, there's some other games that dropped this week, and I wanted to talk about this because there's a lot of positive news. That was the negative, and I kind of wanted to get it out of the way. And look, I really do have a problem with Colin Moriarty. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the guy. Never have, never will. But Midnight Suns has dropped and has released great reviews. I haven't had a chance to play it. I would love it if anyone else had a chance to play it, but I don't think we have because so much has been dropping. This was I have been quiet on this, but I have been a long-time fan of Firaxis. If you don't know who these guys are the makers of XCOM. And it apparently doesn't play like XCOM, but I just want to shout it out on the show. We really haven't played it, so there's not a whole lot that I can say on it. And I don't think, Plume, have you managed to get a chance to get your hands on Midnight Suns?
No, I haven't yet.
Not quite yet. Okay, no. Cool. Yeah, well, look, it's got an open Metacritic of 83 and an open critic of 84. And from all the reviews that I have seen, it's doing pretty well. And Firaxis make really good games, so we're not going to stick on that game for too long. But I just will say, give that game a chance. I definitely will be picking that game up. It looks like it's a pretty good game. One thing he did say is if you like good Marvel stories, that is not what you're going to get here. You're going to get good gameplay. The story, from all accounts, is terrible.
Attack of the bots.
Let's give peace a chance.
Oh my God! Yeah, Attack of the bots.
Take it away, Pete. I hear you.
Look, so I'll move on. I was
going to say though,
brother.
As far as Midnight Suns go, that's funny because that game I expected to be in the 70s, and I expected Calisto Protocol to be in the 80s. It's funny how things turn out sometimes, isn't it?
It is.
It's like you said, though.
The only thing that has me scared about Midnight Suns is the, I don't know if you guys saw ACG's review on it. He was pretty hard on it. I think he's a really good reviewer. Usually, if he's pretty honest. ACG. So yeah. Check out his review. That's the only thing that has me a little worried, but it does look awesome. Like, I'll probably pick it up soon.
Yeah, look, if you're a Firaxis fan, I don't know if you've played XCOM, like,
yeah,
they do make a pretty decent TTS. So I was always extremely hopeful, but just worried with the card system, right? What did ACG say? What did he mention the card system?
Card system, he says, like, he says something on Twitter too, like, in your first 5 to 7 hours, you'll have a great experience, and then it kind of dies off after that. The story, the battle area was too small, just like stuff like that. It kind of just gets boring fast.
A little bit old. Yeah. And I think, okay. Well, with XCOM, you could probably say the same thing because they reuse the same battle arenas over and over. But I didn't get bored of it. I wanted to get through the whole game. I just loved it. So if you're into XCOM, maybe that's for you. Moving on, Need for Speed Unbound is a bit of a sleeper hit, man. Wow. I was playing this last night, played for about an hour, and I'm loving it, man. And I will say, the graphical choice, I can't think of the two-tone kind of style of it, had me a little bit off. I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but it feels like really good. I don't know about the story because I wasn't really listening. I don't really care about that. But in the first hour that I've played of it, I'm probably going to pick that one up too. I was really liking it. It's just a pure, flat-out arcade racer. And I don't know if a lot of you guys in the chat might remember Driver, but it was giving me real Driver vibes, and I loved it. It might have been because I was driving the Charger around. Cutie, I know you're a massive fan of Need for Speed Unbound. Oh, sorry, of Forza. Horizon. I can't even say it. God damn it.
Forbidden West.
Forza.
Forbidden West. Are you okay?
Tongue-tied. I know you're a massive fan of Forza. What did you think of Need for Speed Unbound?
Look, it's if you go into any Need for Speed game thinking it's going to be like Gran Turismo or Forza, you're going to be disappointed. So I kept an open mind when going into this game. I bought it. I didn't get given a code or anything for it because I genuinely did want to play it. My experience has been really positive so far. There's I don't know, perhaps it's just my settings or I'm quite early into playing the game, but there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to the driving. It just seems like it's holding my hand a little bit too much. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it is a lot of fun. If you love racing games, you will have a good time in this. I do think it is targeted to quite a maybe a younger audience, especially with the art style. And I remember when I was in the character customization, it was, all the hairstyles and all of the clothing is quite, androgynous, and like it's, you can feel that it's made for a different generation, I suppose. But like I said, it's a lot of fun, and the PvP is really good. I really enjoyed the online. Pardon?
Oh, we just got bots to me. That's all. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you wanted to say something. Multiplayer is fun. The story's solid. The story's solid so far. So yeah, definitely jump into this if you are thinking about it. I know, Pete, you got the what is it? Certain number of hours free because you're at EA?
Yeah, there's a 10-hour free trial given to you if you are on Game Pass Ultimate through EA Play. So I downloaded that free trial and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I agree. I do think it's more pushed towards that younger audience, especially like you said with the hairstyles and stuff. Didn't really find a character that I like, but hey, I don't think it's really about that. The story mode's been fun
maybe
so
not
far.
for you. Maybe not for
Yeah,
you.
the
Pete.
driving's been
Undertale.
fun. It's definitely not Forza like, but I
Yeah.
love the cop chases in Need for Speed games. They're always like, a lot of fun. So yeah, I like it and I enjoy it for what it is. And I'm typically not a racing fan.
Oh, but I wasn't putting Forza and Gran Turismo in the same category. Of course not. But like you shouldn't go into like, it's sort of like, let's say you've only ever played Call of Duty and then you go and play Fortnite and you think it's going to be like Call of Duty. It's the same kind of thing. They're
Judy,
different things.
you're big time on Forza, even more so than any Forza stan I know, right? Like I used to really be on Forza. I got to get back and finish up some stuff, but I know you're heavy on it. For you, for Unbound, like, did you find anything in there that you liked that you would wish that the team with Playground or Turn 10 would do with Forza?
Oh, look, I think probably the only thing is I probably really liked the garage that it has in there. Like, I feel like it really is customizable and really personal to your style, because you can see your player in there, and you can customize, like, because it's less, I suppose it's less vehicle focused than what Forza is. And you like, your character is sort of like the main, like, you're the driver, whereas in Forza it's more about celebrating the machines. So
Yeah, they
I think that's
definitely celebrate the machine in Forza. You're right.
yeah. So I do think that Need for Speed is probably trying to, and I feel like it's pretty much gone down that road for a while now. I think it's more focused on how the driver, and the character story and things like that, the development. Whereas Forza doesn't have that horizon at all. Motorsport.
Yeah.
They don't have that story-driven base. It's more about the story of the cars and how they actually relate in the real
That's
world,
a
I
good
guess.
point. That's a good point. That's one thing I would like for Forza to kind of change. Is I do like that they honor the cars. That's big for them. That's big for Turn 10. How they do, and Forza is a celebration of that. But the thing is, oftentimes, like, those characters feel detached when you play as them. For that reason, though, because it's just the avatar for you to get around. So sometimes it does lack that extra whatever that I feel like they could take them to the next level if they actually gave you some character with the person you made. The voiceover work that they had, though, had me cringing in Need for Speed. I'm going to be honest. I made my guy.
Yeah,
and
like I
everything.
said, I think it's just made for a different generation of gamers.
You might
I
be
know
right.
that makes me sound really old.
No, it is what it is. Yeah.
I think there's like,
Welcome to
probably
the old club.
Would you be? Would she be a Gen Z? What would you be?
me.
Yeah, you got to be what part of the get off my lawn crew now. So what?
No, I'm millennial.
Get off my damn lawn. Yeah, I think it's really arcadey. Like, it's just really.
Well, that's what I said. It's more.
Yeah.
I said it's just more fun. Like, it's less serious. It's more about the story of you as a driver and all that stuff. It's just, it's just more fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely more arcadey for sure.
Yeah, I look, I'm liking it. I'm loving it. I did not even listen to. I was at a party and I wasn't even listening to the actual story or the voice acting yet. But the feel of it is extremely arcadey. I mean, you can hang it around a corner
Yeah.
and then boost out of your you hang it around the corner.
Yeah, that last going back straight, like you're drifting around the corner, and then you can use your NOS and just like it feels like you're on rails almost when you're moving from those two.
Yeah, so it's got that really arcadey kind of driverish feel. Plume, what were your thoughts on Need for Speed? Is this something you're probably going to pick up? I'm going to get it, man. I don't mind an arcadey racing game, one that seems you're right, Cutie. It's sort of on rails, right? And I think the story will be on rails, and you'll kind of progress through on rails, and I guess as linear as a driving game can be. What did you think, Plume? Were you down for Need for Speed? A bit of a sleeper hit, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've played about 3 hours in that 10-hour trial so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. I agree with you guys. It definitely has that arcade feel, but I would argue like Forza Horizon's pretty arcadey too, in the way that the cars kind of move and drift and stuff.
Mhm.
But
Definitely.
so, and I'm like, when it comes to racing games, I'm not the biggest like sim racer guy. Like, I like kart racers and I like the arcadey stuff. So this is right on my alley. I get what you're feeling. I get what you're saying about the like feel of the car. You can literally just floor it, and then like you hit the brake and just easily get around that corner and then boost out of it. Whereas like other games, you probably just run into the wall. So it almost seems like they've kind of made it easier. But it's, I don't know, it's fun. That's the main thing about it. It's fun, and I actually like the aesthetic of it. Maybe I'm just younger at heart than I am with my real age. I like the like cell shading. I like how when you go off a ramp, there's like wings that come out and like the smoke coming off when you're drifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the crown on top of your car when you like hit the corner perfectly, and you can see when you're drafting another car. It's pretty cool. Like I think it's pretty good. The story and the character creation is pretty. I don't really care about it. I'm there just to drive the cars. The story seems like it'll be just a basic like revenge style or like redemption style story. But yeah, I don't know. I'm having a lot of fun. I think I will eventually pick it up. I mean, 10 hours, I don't know how much that gets you into the game. It looks pretty jam-packed of stuff to do. It reminds me a lot of Need for Speed Heat, just a different world, different aesthetic. And I actually really like Need for Speed Heat, which I thought a lot of people were pretty hard on that game, but I had a ton of fun with it.
Yeah, this game's like the highest on Metacritic in a long time for the Need for Speed franchise. So look, I think it's something to celebrate.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well. And I was surprised. I think it has a little bit of a maybe the reason for that is because it just came out of nowhere, right? It like no one knew about it. Then it got leaked, and then boom, it was here. There was not really
announced.
there was not
about
really
a few months ago.
Yeah, there's not really a wait for it. It just kind of turned up. There wasn't a lot of marketing around it. And yeah, it's what it looks like it is, and it's pretty fun. It feels good. I like the way it feels. So Umbra, we didn't quite get what did you think about Need for Speed? Are you liking it? Is it something you're going to pick up?
You know, if I do pick it up, it'll be once that price drops. I'm not getting it at full price because I don't know. Well, you know me already, yeah. But on top of that, it didn't catch me as much, and I think I just got so many more other games to play right now.
Yeah, for sure.
That you know what I mean, like Calisto, right? That's on screen right now, for instance. So I have no need to rush to get to it. A few things I noticed, and I took some screenshots. It's very clearly based in my city of Chicago, which I loved.
Is it?
Yeah, you look around, you'll
see
it. Yep.
You'll have to get like a side-by-side shot. See if you can line up like something similar in Need for Speed to like.
You know what? I'll show it later. I'll show it after the show.
Oh,
actually, if you all go to my timeline right now, I showed 2 screenshots for Need for Speed. You can scroll down a bit, you'll see it, and you can see like what's supposed to be the John Hancock building on the left image, and I believe the Tribune Tower. You'll see both like near each other. So that much is clear. Risky, when you had your gameplay, you were under the L tracks. That's very clearly Chicago. So that type of stuff I love. Like I'm big on that. But this is a made up city. I forgot what they call it, but it's not
Lakeshore.
Chicago. Yeah, Lakeshore, which is obviously a riff off Lakeshore in Chicago, by the way. So it's very clearly based in Chicago, which I love. I love when I see.
I hear the pizza's actually better in Lakeshore than it is in Chicago.
Oh, that's a lie. That's a blatant. That's a blatant untruth. But Just to say though, so I did like that aspect of it, and it's been a while since I've seen a game based in Chicago racing games. I know Forza did it back in the day. Actually, no, Project Gotham Racing did it back in the day, which I loved. And it's actually Project Gotham has my job where I work at in it. Actually, the old Project Gotham, but it's funny. It's cool for that reason. I like Plume pointed out, I did like the effects when you hit a corner nicely, or you hit your speed boost, or your nitro and such. That did look cool. I do like the effects that they added. It adds a nice little extra, touch of creativity to the game, and I guess the starting cars you get to don't really get to the point where we're going to be really getting that speed that we would want. So I can't judge it off that just yet. I picked the Lambo, by the way.
I picked the Lambo
Well,
as well.
did
I
too.
did too. I'm in a
Yeah.
pink. Umbra, I will suggest to you, if you jump onto multiplayer online, this is another thing that I actually really like about it, is when there's if a person in your session starts a race, it pops up on your screen and it asks for it asks for players for it, and it has like the max players that can join and stuff like that, and how much money you get if you win. So if you jump into one of those, you can actually use, depending on what the leader's car is, you can just use their car. So if you are wanting to experience some of the different vehicles, if you are just starting and you just want to have a feel for it, definitely jump into the multiplayer, because it's quite fun. And I like that function that I can join any race that someone starts in the session.
That sounds cool. I didn't even get a chance to try that out. That part of the trial. I just played the single player just to get a feel of that. The character customization is cool. They could go better in depth with it,
Is
but
it
I
too
do like it.
cool? Is it too
Yeah,
cool? I don't know.
it's not too cool. It's not as robust as anything I've seen, but it's decent. One thing I would have liked if they'd have given it, when it comes to character creation and you have that character actually talk, you're gonna have to give us multiple options. It can't just be this one. You know what I mean? So my guy's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't like how he doesn't sound. No. And then he's going to this hood mechanic and such. I'm like, why are you all talking like this? This is not representative of the hood at all. So they're too cheery, and they're like, yeah, man, you trick out my rims, and I'm like, no, that's not going to work for me. So that I would like for them to give voice options in games like that, or just don't let us talk. Do one or the other. But I think if you're a big racing fans and such, you can't go wrong. The game, like the guys pointed out, has scored well, has reviewed well. I don't think you'll be upset with it, if you're a racing enthusiast.
Yeah, I agree. The game is fun. I think Plume put it the best. It's just a fun game to just jump into and just have a little bit of a drive. The cop sequences are excellent, always fun. The cell shading, actually, I didn't mind. I thought I wouldn't like it, but actually in game, it's not that off-putting.
You can turn it off.
The NOS system is fun. Yeah, you can turn it off. Exactly. Very fun game.
Yeah, look, I'll definitely pick it up. I like Need for Speed. The original Need for Speed was a game I spent like over a year on. We played the shit out of that when I was a kid, and it's good to see a bit of a return to form. So I'm glad that Need for Speed is back, and it's not a franchise that's going to die, because look, it's always sad when a franchise that was great does die, and I don't think that's happening now. So I'm pretty stoked for that, guys. If you have just joined us, we are talking about Need for Speed. Moving on to the next topic, please hit the like button, subscribe if you've just joined us and you are new here. If you are new here, we go live at 7 p.m. every Friday, EST. Look, we're going to move on to that Todd Howard interview. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot here to unpack. There was a lot of bloat in this interview, and if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I will link it down in the description later on. He did speak a lot on Xbox. He spoke on the Indiana Jones game. They even spoke on the meaning of life. I don't think we're going to go into the meaning of life here today. I mean, we could.
That was my favorite part.
We could definitely go into the meaning of life. I would just say it's gaming.
Riskit, what is the meaning of life?
I don't know. So excuse me.
What is the meaning?
Look, there's a lot here to unpack. So I'm just going to start on the obvious place, Starfield. And one of the things that I said that I thought was kind of cool was that it wasn't an Xbox decision for them to delay the game. And as Pete mentioned earlier, it was based his decision to delay the game as he knew he wasn't quite there yet. It needed the more time. But also in and around that decision, he said it's a bit different. And listen, there's a lot of, they have a name, Bugthesda. They are known for releasing buggy games, and like it does happen, and they patch them up. They end up being great games, et cetera, et cetera. I think in this instance, things are changing for the way that Todd Howard thinks about releasing a game and the way that he will release these games. He specifically said, as Pete said, and Pete, I'm going to go to you in a minute, that, they are now selling a game that is attached to a console, that is selling a console that is a representative of a console, a platform maker. So it's, to me, that's really hopeful. There's a lot of talk about whether Starfield will have a 60 frames per second mode. I tend to think it will. He knows he's representing that console. That gave me a bit of hope. I was a bit worried when he said he loved the 30 frames per second mode. But it seems to me the way that they're thinking about it is they do really want to represent the platform that now owns them. And I think that's only a good thing. I think delays are always a good thing. If when you release a fully fleshed out game. Pete, what did you think about Todd talking about the fact that he takes it pretty seriously that they represent Xbox?
I love that. I love that the Xbox engineers who develop the system are going over to Bethesda and helping them optimize their game to its fullest potential. I was worried as well when he kept mentioning the 30 frames. I think that they were maybe putting a hint in there that they weren't going to have 60. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that, they have their ears to the ground, Microsoft, and they know that people really want to be gaming in 60 now. How are you going to do that in a game like Skyrim with the level of detail, with the size of the open world, with all the integrated systems that they have with the different NPCs and things like that? I think it's going to be a very difficult task. But how he talks about that system, the Series X, and the power that it has, I just think is I think that there's great signs ahead for what this console is going to be capable of, and I personally can't wait to see it. The whole interview is incredibly bloated. There's so much there. It goes for 2.5 hours. So, I picked and chose, what I thought would be the best bits for myself. What I was really interested in is how smart they're going to be making the NPCs. I thought that was really, really interesting. I've had plenty of conversations about this. I think a lot of the benefits of these next-gen systems and all the different software that's been implemented into it is the physics and how smart we're going to be able to make NPCs and the integrated systems that are going into these open worlds. And I think Skyrim, you can follow around an NPC, and they will do their, regular routines. And it's just very interesting to do that in Skyrim. I really want to see what happens in Skyrim and how deep that then goes. I also like the part when he started speaking about how people would build boxes to get outside of the world when they're not actually meant to. And that kind of taught him not to limit players, to just let them do what they want to do. If they want to go there to a place that they see, then let them do that. Let the player draw his own experiences out of the game. Put them in the world and then just give them the tools and then let them go off and enjoy themselves. And I think he quoted as saying to just find the fun. And I think you kind of need to do that in a Bethesda game because they are so big. The story's never going to be that detailed, that deep. You can find the fun in so many other places. People are still playing Skyrim 10, 15 years later. People are still finding new things. I also really enjoyed the part when he said that they hide a developer tool room in games, and I'm sure that's going to be a big hint that there's going to be a developer room in Starfield somewhere, and in that room are basically all the guns that the game has to offer, which is incredibly cool. I wonder who's going to be the first person to find that. And I love how Bethesda play around with those kind of things, and I suppose it's like fourth wall breaking when they do things like that. And Todd Howard's a genius. The other thing that really stood out to me is Indiana Jones. I cannot wait for that. A love letter to Indiana Jones. I know the movie's coming out. I think I saw the trailer yesterday.
Oh yeah, did you see it? You guys see the trailer?
Yeah, I did watch it after you told me about it. I went and I watched it straight away. Yeah,
Wait, what?
It looks amazing.
Hang on a minute.
You didn't see it, Riz?
Is there a trailer?
Yeah.
Dropped yesterday, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
Riskit, my goodness.
I'm going.
What did you think about the effects on the de-aging, Jedi?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I did. I did think that was so. But look, I think that I honestly think that the game that Machine Games is making is going to be better than the movie, because I'm going to actually get to play as Indiana Jones, and it's going to be in that time of Indiana Jones when Indiana Jones was at his best. So I think it's Rome, 1938 or around then, straight after Raiders of the Lost Ark. When he's absolutely at his peak. I just can't wait.
Oh, you're not talking about the movie.
Characters of all time.
You guys talking about the movie?
Yes. Well, the movie, the trailer dropped for the movie yesterday as well. So,
what? Hang on a minute. So let me get this straight. There's a trailer for the game that dropped?
No.
Okay.
Not for the game.
No.
Trailer for the movie.
Okay. You all had me like super excited. I'm like scouring like Google, YouTube. I'm like,
Riskit is all confused over there. He's like, what day is it?
I'll be checking out that movie trailer like straight after the show. Man, I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan. But look, going back to Starfield, I'll say it's not my type of game. But he's kind of got me interested. There's something in there, I think, for everyone. I just don't have that kind of time that I think Starfield's going to require for you to fully really get into that game. Plume, is Starfield something that you've been looking forward to? Are you going to jump in there and just lose your life for at least 3 months while you search for this developer box? What do you think about Todd Howard's thoughts on there was a lot, man, in that interview. He was talking about AI. They talked about the purchase of Bethesda, what it's like to work under Xbox. There's so much fallout. So they were talking about Elder Scrolls 6. If you guys haven't seen the interview, it's huge, but I recommend you check it out. Plume, did you get a chance to see at least some of it?
Yeah, no, I went through it. There was a ton of great information there. Yeah, like you, I don't have that much time, but I'm absolutely going to be jumping into Starfield. Between that and Breath of the Wild 2 next year, like I don't know how I'm going to have time to play anything else because all my hours are going to be sunk into those games. But like
for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. But I liked a lot, like the stuff he went over I like how he talked about the planets, because the planets, if you guys remember, like the first time that we heard there was 1,000 planets, there was just a lot of people upset and a lot of backlash on that. And I think he was pretty pointed talking about how they're all going to be like distinct, whatever that means. But he focused on that. He focused on like the suits you're going to have in the game and how you're going to have to really choose which suits you're going to use, like for toxicity and different temperatures of planets, which I think is really cool. Confirmed that there was robot enemies. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but that was a pretty funny part of the podcast, because Lex he's into robots, so he wanted to make sure that there are robots in the game. And I also liked the part, like Peter said, when they talked about Xbox and the Series X and how Xbox is there helping them build this game to make sure that it runs really well on the Series X. And it kind of goes back to the whole Colin debate, but because it is first party now, they are able to just really focus on the console. And I'm hoping this is going to be something that really is that first game that shows everything that the Series X is going to be able to, not just like graphically, but like you mentioned, like the AI and just the scope of the world and just how well this is all going to work together. So I don't know, every single time they talk about Starfield, I get more and more excited for it. It just seems like it's really going to be that open playground in space that we really fully haven't experienced yet, with like all of the storylines, all of the great writing from Bethesda. I'm sure there'll be bugs. I'm sure it will have the trademark Bethesda bugs in there when it comes out. I mean, if anyone's expecting that not to happen, probably just fooling yourself a little bit there. But I think there's going to be so much good that outweighs the bad in this game. And I I'm going to go with the prediction that there is going to be a 60 FPS mode. I know with the IGN interview last year, he mentioned like, oh, I like Bethesda games. They run well in 30 FPS. I think they're fine there, right?
He did.
But he didn't confirm the 60 FPS thing. And one of the things that delaying the game has given Bethesda the luxury of seeing, I think, is like just all of the backlash that we've gotten so far in these last few months of games that have come out on the Series X and the PS5 that haven't had the 60 FPS with, like specifically Gotham Knights. So I feel like they're not going to want to do that with a game that's going to be like a generational game. They're not going to want to have any stupid backlash over frames per second, all that type of stuff. So they've got to work something in there to make sure there's a 60 FPS mode.
Yeah, I think they know that they're under a serious amount of scrutiny. He obviously didn't say that, but he's very aware that he is a representative of the platform. And it's good to see. It was good to see that they definitely are aware of that, and that's a good thing. But we're going back to something that you mentioned. Sorry, Cutie.
I was just going to say, I'm really looking forward to a whole new set of memes to laugh at. Like Starfield is going to be like no place we've ever been, and like you said, Plume, we will. We're going to expect those, those classic bugs, which I feel like we've learned to love. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like messed up faces and all kinds of things, and like words that make me want to wee my pants. It's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. But I kind of just want to go back quickly to what you were saying about the planets and the procedural generation. He gave a lot more clarity on that, and it was something that like you said, Plume, it was talked about a lot when they talked about the hundreds of planets, right? But they specifically have built sections, cube sections or tiles, I think was the word he used, of planets that will fit together in a procedural generation. So that there are sections so the world is built, handcrafted in sections, and then procedurally thrown together. I'm really interested to see how that works. If you guys in the chat don't know, or anyone doesn't know, that Bethesda was actually one of the first ever gaming companies to have procedural generation within their games. They were the first to implement that technology, and they have done it well. I mean, it's in Elder Scrolls, it's in a lot of their open world games. I would say all of them. And procedural generation isn't something that's is always a bad thing. Look, Horizon Forbidden West, procedural generation. Everyone talks about how beautiful that world is. So, I'm a lot less apprehensive about procedural generation now that I've heard the way in which that they have approached it. I think it's going to be very interesting. And then you'll have procedurally generated games that then exist within that world that they can then go in and handcraft later on. I don't think the support for this game will end after day one. Look at Elder Scrolls. Look at how long that game has been supported and re-released, about 58 times. This is a game, I think, that's for the ages, and I hope that they nail it straight off the bat. I think a 60 frames per second mode will be there. Umbra, what did you pull from the interview that you found like encouraging, worrisome? What were your thoughts on the entirety of the interview? It's a lot there. We can talk about the meaning of life if you want to.
Yes, the meaning of life, according to a few, it's food and good naps, and the number 42 apparently with Pyro. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sure if I type it into Google, I will get some interesting results.
Have you not seen that?
Yeah, but no, man. I mean, I'll just say this: the guy Lex Friedman, he is like, he makes me fall asleep when I listen to him. Just, have you all heard him speak?
I thought I was the only person who thought that, but man,
oh no,
Plume,
it's not just you. Yeah.
And I've listened to a couple of his interviews, but I'm just like, man, how did this guy get so big? I'm falling asleep every single time. I
said the same thing. I'm like, how? Like, what? And apparently he's like some type of physicist or something.
He's an MIT professor. I looked it up because I was like, this dude is boring as shit. How is he this big?
I don't get it. Don't let the I guess slow talk and high. He sounds like he's high. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah.
I guess don't let that fool you. But yeah, you hear him talk. He's like, yeah, I want to ask, about. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
He just
did
has
you see?
zero
Did you
charisma.
did you catch the clip where he asked Todd Howard if it was exclusive?
Yes.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
looked
is
disappointed, didn't
Starfield
he?
exclusive? Yeah, Boba brought that up in the chat before. I was like, what? This
He
guy
looked sad.
did his research? I
Yeah.
thought he was a professor.
He looked sad. I think he was just angling this, for something that's provocative question wise. But I mean, he did ask about Elder Scrolls, which was funny though. But yeah, the thing I found encouraging is that Todd and team, they know how important this is for Xbox. There's no delusion there. They know. He alludes to it very much in the sense that it is a lot of pressure just because he knows there's a lot put on them. He does mention that in there. As far as the procedurally generated planets, I love hearing that. And I mean, I knew about them doing it already, and they've been doing this for a while. This is a staple of theirs, is to procedurally generate the land and build on top of it with handcrafted stuff. So I'm glad to know that they know. And I mean, I knew that. I figured they would, but to know that they're not just going to have you out there with like, oh, here's a planet, go grab this, that's it, and it's empty everywhere else. They're aware of that, so they know they have to make it interesting as far as the landscape and enemies and things of that nature when you get on these planets, which is a major step up. I mean, let's just be real. I mean, I think of stuff like Mass Effect and how there were a few planets you can go to, right, and actually land on and navigate with the rover and everything like that, and actually get into a little facility and fight people, whatever. But typically, you were just mining minerals or whatever it may be from space. And so the fact that they have 1,000 different planets you can get to, it's like Plume pointed out, man, this game is going to take up a lot of our time if you're really dedicated to it at all. If you're really a Bethesda fan, and I am, then this game is going to rank high for that reason alone, and how much time it's going to take out of your day and out of your gaming life for sure. You all probably, I'm going to be like I was during Ragnarok. You won't see me much. I'll be in that game deep into it and enjoying it personally. So I don't think he revealed too much more that we didn't already know in that interview from what I saw. But I'm just encouraged in general. But I will say, I am not as optimistic about it hitting of 60 frames per second as you are, Plume. I don't know if they'll do that. I just don't. I mean, because we saw that trailer, man, it was like 20 something, right?
24.
Like, so it wasn't hitting at 30 even. So, I mean, I know the Microsoft is going to be on it as far as their team they're sending over, which is cool. Like Pete pointed out, that's great to know. And they need to do that more cross, work with different teams and such. And they do. But I'm encouraged by that. But man, I would be shocked if they happen to get a performance 60 mode for Starfield. Personally, hey, Risk, these monsters are tearing you apart.
Yeah, look, I hadn't quite figured out how the dodge mechanic works. Once you figure it out, it's real easy. but initially, I was like, how do you dodge this stupid thing, man? Like, so I was just trying a whole bunch of different things. The death animations are like pretty brutal. Apparently, if you show this stuff, you get you get demonetized. But luckily, I'm just not monetized, so I don't give a fuck.
We're not monetized.
But
we do this for the love. We do this for the love.
You did. Look, we all spoke on Todd Howard, and it wasn't a topic for the show, but you did mention that you were stuck in God of War, and it is something that I just completed. And look, and I know that, Plume, you've just finished it as well. I don't want any spoilers, guys, because there's obviously Pete has not played it, and Cutie hasn't quite played it yet. So, but just a quick, your thoughts on how this game ended and played out. God of War 2018 for me was like one of the seminal titles of the PlayStation 4, maybe the best of the generation of any platform. And I love the way that the story fit together. I love the gameplay. I love the way that the world was, semi-rogue light. You could go back and, once you gain new abilities, you could go back into an area and that's all there. But the story is, and the overabundance of bloated puzzles, and there's just so much that ruined it for me. And when it ended, man, it's setting in an 8. I know that you stepped up to a 9, Umbra, but for me, it just sat squarely on an 8. I really disappointed that that's not a bad game. It's a really good game. Like, it's fucking awesome game.
Which game was that, Risk?
God of War. It just ended on such a.
It did.
Terribly. Like
now you see what I meant when I said I was struggling to move up from an 8.5 and all. You see, remember me saying that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Part of that, and I'm stuttering my words, sorry, but part of that is because of how they handled certain aspects of things, and the ending was kind of lackluster. I agree with you.
I'm worried. I'm so worried now.
It's not bad. It's not a bad game. It's a great game. But yeah, I agree with you there, Risk. I see what you mean there, but I'm kind of lenient.
Just as an end to such a great to 2018, I sort of feel like it's a little bit of a disservice to the entire story, and to steer Kratos in the way in which they did. And of course, you need to develop a character, and I understand that, but I just don't see that jump for a character in such a short time from what he has experienced and has been. In such a short time, I think they laid it on a little bit thick, man. In the end, for me, yeah. What did you think? What did you think, Plume?
I really enjoyed the game. Like, to me, a 9. I would give it. I thought there was bloat. Like, there are certain. I don't know what to say without like spoiling anything. That's the issue.
Yeah,
right? But,
it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, like there are some bloaty sections that I could do without 100%. I see what you're saying about the ending, but I feel like they've been kind of building us up to this is what's like Kratos is going to be like going forward for a bit. And there was at least like 3 or 4 times, and I'm not like the most emotional person when it comes to games, but there was like 3 or 4 times in the last say 5 to 7 hours or so of the game where like it hit me hard. And I thought like the acting, the writing was probably some of the best that I've seen with the game. I thought it was like the ending, the lead up to everything that happened. I thought that part was just phenomenal, and that like just it made me kind of forget about a lot of the stuff I didn't like previous to that once I finished it.
Yeah, I mean, it was there was emotional moments, and they had those. But for me, nothing that compared to 2018. But just please don't. This is just an off-topic conversation, guys. So it is a conversational podcast. So I do apologize. We jumped on to God of War. I did just want to talk about it because I had just finished it. Great game, fantastic game. It's just not quite the level of the first one, and I had hoped that it would be. That's the only disappointment that I have, really. There is a bit of bloat, but look, honestly, that game I would recommend to anyone on the planet. Like, definitely play that. Hagi Chani, you're an absolute champion. He's dropped 2 codes in the chat. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you, Hagi. If you guys do pick that up, we've got Tales from the Borderlands, a global code, and Gotham Knights, a global code. If you guys do pick that up, please let us know in the chat. Please do thank Hagi Chani for dropping those in the chat. He does it off his own volition, and he is an absolute champion.
Thanks,
and many times he's been referred to as, and truthfully, the most generous man in gaming, and he really, really is. Thank you, Hagi. We really appreciate it.
He's trying to buy your love. Don't fall for it, everybody.
I love him.
But claim those codes, though.
Definitely
Santa
claim
Hagi strikes
before
again.
I do it.
Very
Yeah, I've got nothing nice, so you guys better get on that.
Pete went quiet there for a second. He's like, click, click, click.
He's over there typing hard as hell.
Look, we'll move on to the next topic, guys. Before we do, please hit the like button. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe
Nice
button.
code, Umbra.
Umbra's dropped a code in the chat. Says, but thank you again, Hagi. You're an absolute champion, dude. You really are the most generous man in gaming. And we all really appreciate you in the community, and in fact, the entire community that we have around Xbox. You guys are absolute champions, every single one of you. And we really appreciate you all in the chat coming each week and supporting us.
Yeah, I just wanted to say sorry to stuff, Sean. That was an absolute mistake, mate. I really didn't mean it.
Yeah,
It happens to all of us.
yeah, it
I
does
saw
happen.
it when you did, and Cutie said "Toxic Pete."
Yeah, I saw that.
I was joking. I was joking.
So
I love
sorry,
it.
mate.
We know, Cutie.
Yeah, look, yeah, apologies to stuff, Sean. I did send him a Twitter message. He's back. But again, you guys in the community are absolute champions. And Mr. Boom had a show a couple of weeks ago where he did ask me to come on. I was absolute dog tired. I've been studying, working my ass off. I just could not make it. I couldn't keep my eyes open. But I did ask him to pass on, and I will say here, my favorite thing this year has been the community. Like, this community is just out of control, amazing. Every
Yeah.
single one of you guys, and I really do appreciate you. You got me through a tough year. I don't talk about what goes on for me personally, but you all got me through a really tough year, and I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you very much. And I know everyone on the show does also. I'll move on to the next topic before I start
Absolutely.
breaking out the Kleenexes. Witcher 1 remake is they keep dropping information, CD Projekt Red. It's awesome to see them to really return to form. They were the darlings of the industry for such a long time, and then they just released that trash, horrible game. No. Cyberpunk. It's good to see them make a return to form. And I really do hope that the Witcher 1 remake is everything that I'm hoping it will be. We did have a conversation earlier in the month talking about whether we think the combat will be updated, whether the game will be updated. What are we going to expect from this? And it seems that we should get updated combat. It's gone open world. And I believe, Pete, you have played Witcher 1, so we'll go to you. And Witcher 1 was...
Oh, I haven't played it. I have
you
seen
haven't?
somebody play it.
You've seen someone play it. Well, I haven't even seen anyone play it, so you're the most experienced so far. But it was a wholly linear
It's very old.
experience.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Right.
And it's very old and it's very outdated. The story is fantastic, which is why I'm so happy that they're bringing it back, because it really does bring everything into fruition. Like, so the continuation of the story is really important in The Witcher. You get to meet characters that you meet in 1 that you don't see in 2, but meet again in 3. And so having that continuity of the story is really, really going to help, and I think it's just going to benefit all 3 games. And like I was saying, the game felt very dated. It was very old. It was CD Projekt Red when they were really in their infancy. You could see there was something special there, and they did tell a really good story, but they hadn't quite worked, up to the level that they're at in Witcher 3. And it just amazes me what CD Projekt Red did in just those 3 games, and just how they grew as a studio and what they were able to accomplish. And you can see their growth through all those 3 games, coming to The Witcher 3, which I think is one of the preeminent, games that's ever been made. My favorite game of all time. So I can't wait to jump back into it. I love the fact that they're making it open world. I hope that it has that free-flowing combat of The Witcher 3 that just, it's just going to be amazing. And kudos to them for bringing it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'll go to you, Umbra. But I've got some of the Witcher 1 gameplay up on the screen, and you can see it's really dated. I really can't wait for them. They're bringing this in an open world, and it's honestly, Witcher 3 was amazing. Even if it's just half the size of that, a quarter of the size of that, it's going to be amazing. Umbra, are you looking forward to this one?
Oh, looking forward to it is an understatement. Absolutely. I mean, you hit it on the head too, Pete. Everything Pete said, and of course you, as far as if it's even half of what The Witcher 3 was. Which, by the way, The Witcher 3 was gigantic, and 3 different land masses to go through. Not counting the DLC later on, but yeah, man, I'm super excited. And like Pete pointed out, it all being unified in that Unreal Engine 5 for the remake and remakes, I guess, and the continuation. It's all going to keep that uniformity when it comes to things, and I just can't wait to see how beautiful it's going to look. You know what I mean? One thing I'm hoping that they do improve on, and it has been a lot of people's critiques and issues, has been the UI and the combat. I personally love the combat in Witcher 3, but I can acknowledge some of it being a little stiff for some. But me, I loved it personally. But yeah, man, I'm super excited for it, and I like.
I'm gonna cop shit for this, but I like how stiff the combat is.
Well, I love it. I loved it. So, but I know some people are like good brother Boom, for instance. Boom did not care for the combat. He didn't care for the UI and such either. And there's a lot of people I've heard with that sentiment. So it's not just him. But me, I loved it. It has a bit of a learning curve to it. But once you get into it and you develop Geralt the way you need to, and put that rend on your sword or the swirl on the sword, man, it's beautiful. Especially on Death March when you have tougher enemies all around, and it's just beautiful, powers and all. But so I'm hoping that they evolve it in a way when it comes to that. I can't wait to do it. I never actually got a chance to play the first one. I played a bit of part 2, but I didn't actually go through it all the way. I feel like I need to go through it, but I didn't do either. So I'm happy to see that they're going back to that and getting that developed. I know they have a different team on it, so I'm a little weary for that reason. But other than that, I mean, I'm pretty sure CD Projekt Red is not allowing any losses for this going forward. I think Cyberpunk was their wake up call, so I expect this to be spectacular.
Yeah, man. So am I. But there's always that little worry in the back of your mind, isn't it? That it might be another Cyberpunk, which is just an abomination of a game. Should be burnt alive at the stake, like they do in The Witcher. Plume, I'm surprised that no one got it. You didn't get at me then, Umbra or Pete. Normally there's some pushback. Plume, look, what are your thoughts? Look, is Witcher 3 one of your games? Is this something that you've played and like? I love The Witcher 3, never completed it, but I'll be going back to it. Can't wait for the update. But Witcher 1, from what we're hearing, sounds pretty good. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I love The Witcher 3. It's awesome. I'm actually looking forward to the next gen upgrade. Probably will jump in again and do another playthrough or just see the difference between the original Witcher 3 and then what they've been able to do. Because what we've seen with those comparisons so far, it looks like it's actually going to be a pretty significant jump in terms of performance and fidelity, and it's a free upgrade too, so it's pretty awesome. What I'm definitely excited for the first Witcher. I haven't played it like most people, and that's I think one of the main reasons why I think this is going to be awesome, because most people, I think, with The Witcher jumped in The Witcher 3. It's where they fell in love with the characters and the stories, and that's where it really took off. So a lot of people who've played through The Witcher 3 haven't checked out the first one and probably haven't even checked out the second one yet. So I think it's really cool that they're going to bring it back and give people just a premiere experience that will, if they went back and played the original one right now, like you said, Peter, it's not the best experience. I think this is going to be great for the franchise, and hopefully they do something similar with the second one, maybe a remaster or something. I don't know if they've announced that, but I jumped into the second one like very briefly, so I may have to get into that as well.
I love the second one. The story of the second one is phenomenal, and it's what got me into The Witcher. The gameplay is not the best; it's very different, but the story is amazing. That world, that universe that they've created, the dark narrative that they have echoing through it with the elves, it's just amazing.
Yeah, look, I love the books. The books are amazing, and if you guys are readers in the chat, I highly recommend the books. As I've said many times, one of my best mates got me onto it, and they are great. Mr. Bushido, I can play games, all right, Mr. Bushido, you're all right.
You did die a lot in that Calisto Protocol footage. Just want to point that out.
Wasn't that the very, very first enemy you come across? I mean, I don't know. It looked like it to me.
It was the hardest enemy, right? It was the hardest one.
Like he's having a tough time.
It's hardest. Skill Up said it was the hardest one in the game.
I want to point out, though, I doubt that Mr. Bushido's gameplay is going to be much better. So I don't know why he chimed in with that. I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I don't need to look any worse than I already do, Mr. Look, I'll move to you, cutie. Look, I can't wait to see more Witcher games in the series. And hopefully they kind of flesh out the story a bit more for people who haven't read the books. And we are both going to go back to or go to Witcher 3 when the update comes. But I mean, Witcher 1's looking amazing. What are your thoughts on it going open world and the update, probably updating the combat as well, I would say?
Yeah, it's very exciting. And, I know for one that I'm definitely totally there for the gameplay and not to, stare at Geralt. No, it's gonna be great. I think, look, this is it's a beloved series, and I think moving to open world is a good move. I just hope they nail it. I hope they knock it out of the park.
Yeah, in the first go.
Did you ever play through The Witcher 3, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
I am about halfway through, not fully.
Okay.
Yeah, not completely. We both have to go back and complete it. Yeah.
You all should definitely do so with this new patch coming in.
Yeah, that update's going to be awesome, and it looks amazing. We did speak on that last week, but if they do one if they release that before I get through Witcher 3, I'll be pissed. But I mean, I suppose it's kind of in sequence, right?
I think Bobby Hawk pointed something out. So every time you sleep with a woman in The Witcher 1, you get a tarot card, which is a card of her being naked. And that was actually censored in Australia, I'm pretty sure, when they first brought it out. So Bobby and I both want to see that come back.
You all just want to see it for the tarot cards and the nudity.
Well, Doomy mentioned Geralt, so I thought I'd throw something into
Pete-
the gentleman.
Pete spent more time in the tarot cards than he did on the game. Look,
Wow.
He was over there sweet talking to the ladies. Hey, baby.
before we move on to the next topic, Cutie has to get out of here. She's got some stuff on. So Cutie, thank you for coming back this week. I'm glad that you're feeling better. Great takes, great show. Let people know where they can find you. If you do want to look for any of our guests and any of our panel, you can find them down in the description. Links are there. Cutie, let us know what you'll be playing, where we can find you, what you'll be up to next week. Is Cutie there?
Sorry. No, I'm here.
I was about to do your voice. I was a second away.
No, thank you so much. Yes, so happy to be back. Really, Xbox Infinite is my home, and I love it. I love you guys. Chat, and I love the community, and I love you all. So much love. And also to Plume, who has come on the show today. This week, I'll probably finish the campaign for Need for Speed, the story for that, and I'll be grinding to 70 on my World of Warcraft character, trying to get some mythic dungeons in. And yeah, I'm in one of the final weeks of school, so looking forward to school holidays. But a busy week for me next week, but on many levels. And yeah, you can find me mostly on Twitter. So if you look up DoomCutie on Twitter, you'll find everything that I'm doing right there.
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for coming through once again. And yeah, as I said, if you want to find any of us anywhere, we are down in the description, including the guest. I'll move on to the next topic as we say goodbye to Cutie.
See you guys.
Hey, Cutie.
See you later.
Just a couple of small ones. And I do want to go back to Game Pass because that kind of dropped, but apparently there's rumors of Monster Hunter Rise. Is it a rumor? It is a rumor coming to Game Pass. That's kind of pretty exciting. It was a leak that came out through someone somewhere, probably Tom Henderson or Jess Gordon or, the general leaks. But also there's a shitload dropping on Game Pass in the next couple of days. Monad in the chat said that Hot Wheels is not dropping into Game Pass now, and I'm wondering why. So please hit us up in the chat. Let me know why it's not dropping into Game Pass, because that was slated to come. As well as I'm pretty excited about Lego Star Wars, man. That's going to soak it up for me. Like, I'm super happy. It's a game that I wouldn't buy, but it's definitely a game that I will play. And so I haven't had a chance to play that. It's a bit of a shame that Cutie went because she did play all the way through it. She said it was absolutely massive. So I can't wait for that to drop. Monster Hunter Rise, thank you, Pyro, is confirmed coming in January. Okay, and you can install Hot Wheels right now. I've actually already played it on the PlayStation because I'm a pony. No, I'm kidding. Umbra, what do you think of the Game Pass? What's coming to Game Pass this next month? It's going to be a big month. It's been a big couple of months for Game Pass. It's starting to really kill it again. We had a lull through the year, but we're back, baby.
Yeah, they actually have had a great...
We're back.
Baby, we're back.
Oh, my God. Where's it?
You can blame it all on me.
All right, I'm muted.
I was wrong.
And he's muted. Okay. Are you gonna stop?
Riskit always trying to stop the greatness of my voice.
That sounded pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
Don't encourage this man.
Plume. This is
Do
hate.
not encourage this man.
No, actually, if we're being honest, Microsoft has killed it with Game Pass this year. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
Overall, they've dropped some, I hate to say the word, but bangers. They've dropped some bangers this year, man. You have to give them their credit. I'm hoping 2023 is even stronger when it comes to that. And I know it will be from what we've seen already. So many games I'm excited for, next year. Benedict, the Curious Case of Benedict Fox, the last
case of Benedict Fox. Yeah.
Yep.
I know that name, bro. They need to change that name.
Pretty sure
it throws me off a little bit.
I'm pretty sure it's called the third avocado of Benedict Cumberbatch's cabbage patch.
But yeah, they dropped some great games already and coming forward. I mean, we got right now we got the Eastward game. I'm going to get into that. It looks good. They got the Chained Echoes coming. Hello Neighbor 2. I think Steph keeps telling us about that. To try it out for community game night. We have to do that. Mm-hmm. Sales, hi on sales in the chat. She pointed out High on Life, and I'm excited for that as well. Need for Speed, the Hot Wheels Unleashed, like you pointed out, is not coming December 15th, but it is coming later on, so it's still coming next month. So, see, Hargeet knows.
This is ridiculous. Why is he trying to silence me, Coach? I don't understand this. This is just ridiculous. This is not cool.
So, but Star Wars, like you said, Risk, I wouldn't buy that, but like, I know it got great, like, raving reviews from everybody. Even friends were like, "Oh man, it's fun, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to play with some Legos like that. But I'm looking at the screen. But yeah, I'm actually excited to try it out now that it's coming to Game Pass. I wouldn't have bought it, but I'll definitely play it through Game Pass. So I'm excited, man. I think they've done a good job. Yeah.
I was not, hang on, Mr. Bushido in the chat saying I was hating on Game Pass. I definitely did not. When people were talking about canceling their Game Pass, I'm pretty sure that was you. Nah, it wasn't you. But I didn't say it either. So what is he talking about? I ain't hating on Game Pass. Yeah, look, I think there was some lightness through the middle of the year. Like they dropped bangers, but it was kind of a 3-monthly thing. There was a few months there where we had a bit of a quiet time, which is what I'm saying. I ain't hating on Game Pass. They're going to do a great job. They're giving us games. Well, they're free for me because I use rewards, but they're giving you like top-notch games in a subscription service, as well as all your like hors d'oeuvre games, your little indie games, your double A's, man. Game Pass is amazing. I'd never bag out Game Pass. Don't be telling those lies in the damn chat. Jedi Knight, I'm going to go to you. Being a dark Sith Lord as you are and hating on the universe of Star Wars, is Star Wars Lego going to bring you in?
I will play through the original trilogy and the prequels, and as soon as they get to the sequels, I will skip over them because they are not Star Wars.
That's the best bit.
So that's 6 episodes for me to play. Awesome, cannot wait. I wouldn't have bought this game, but I've heard DoomCutie speak very highly of it. A couple other people in the community speak highly of it. Red Dead Panda, I really trust their advice, so it's coming to Game Pass. I'm going to try it out. It's a Star Wars game. I'm not a big Lego fan, but hey, it's coming to Game Pass. And look, this draws on what we were talking about before with Microsoft and their first-party games. And I think me and Umbra have spoken on this pretty extensively on this show. It just doesn't really matter to me, first-party games, because the way I see it is everything coming to Game Pass is a benefit to me. So, yes, okay, we've had a lull in first-party exclusives, but I have had more than enough games to play. If I'm being honest, I've had too much to play and I haven't been able to play all of them. So, yeah, loving what Microsoft is doing, loving Game Pass. It's just such amazing value, and this just adds to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and everyone in the chat, that's correct. Pete does hate Star Wars. He is a Sith Lord. And he's a true Star Wars hater. I mean, what can I say? Sorry, I'm going to cut you off there.
No, I was just going to say I agree with that. And you're right, Pete. We have had that discussion a bunch of times. And it does come down to the fact that Game Pass is like an exclusive in itself. So when you're getting these third-party games in there, and it essentially doesn't matter that they're not first-party in that way. Like if you're going to be comparing Xbox to PlayStation first-party, yeah, that's going to come into play. Like, Riskit, why are you shooting that person while they're over there dancing and minding their business, by the way? I don't know anything about Fortnite. I'm just looking like, why is he trying to murder this innocent nobody bystander?
Nobody's innocent. On a long enough timeline, no one is innocent.
But I was going to say, yeah, man, like, I am of that mind. Like, first party has to deliver too, right? Clearly, I'm not going to ever excuse them. But, yeah, when we're essentially getting all these third parties in there, they feel like exclusives too because we're not paying for them. So I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, yeah, I'm more leaning towards there was just a couple of lulls, but they have given us some bangers. They've given us Guardians of the Galaxy. There's been some games in there, and Pete, right, there's too much to play. Mortals Phoenix Rising. I haven't even finished that yet. I do own it, but like I haven't even finished that yet. Plume. Are you going to jump into Star Wars Lego? And are you a true fan and love all of the movies, or are you like Pete?
Well, funny thing is, I already own the game, so and I subconsciously kind of did what Pete did. I played through the original trilogy, the prequels, and then I just haven't played the sequels yet. So I don't know if that's because of the movies and
let's get Plume back on the show. I like it.
Or if that was just I forgot to jump into it, but I think subconsciously is because
I believe his correct title is Darth Plume.
But other than Star Wars, man, like this month there's High on Life. I'm really excited for. Can't wait for that to come out. Eastward, I just downloaded, so I'm probably going to jump into a bit of that tonight to see what that game's all about. Chained Echoes, that one looks absolutely awesome. Like that looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. I love like that 16-bit, like SNES retro style RPG. Looks like it's a really good game. But there's been a lot of stuff, and I agree with you guys on like the whole Game Pass thing. Like every month, you don't even remember that Xbox hasn't released their first party thing because there's so much to play. I haven't sat down on my Xbox and was like, oh man, if only they would have released a huge first party game this year. I'd have something to play. It's just nonstop games in my backlog. Right now, I'm playing a bunch of stuff from November. Like I'm going through Gungrave Gore, which isn't the best game in the world. It's just like a arcadey, it's just like an arcadey shoot 'em up
Gungrave
style
Gore
thing.
is horrible, but Gunfire Reborn is a great game.
Yeah. It's not a very good game, but for some reason I've already played through like 9 levels of it and probably going to keep going
Very
through.
fun with friends. Yeah.
That action aspect of it, and I heard it's basically like a 360 game, Gun Gore.
Yeah, essentially. It's
I
clunky.
mean, I'm all for it as long as it's fun. If you're having fun, and hey, it is what it is, right?
I couldn't get past 10 minutes of that game. That game's terrible. It's terrible.
Dang.
No, I mean I'm with you. It isn't a great game, but I've put in a couple of hours into it. But
Yeah.
it's just like just going through and just shooting up people. I don't know. It just has sitting back like late at night after a long day. Don't want to think too much. Just kind of want to put something on and just have a good
Vampire
time.
Survivors, mate. Vampire Survivors.
Yeah,
that makes
I've
sense,
played
though,
with that too. Yeah.
That makes sense though. Some games are like that where you can just kind of just mindlessly play and enjoy it. So yeah, for that reason, if you just want to go around murdering people, that definitely I can see the charm in that. I have to try it myself. I have it downloaded, so I'm going to jump into it. By the way, Plume, I want to ask you one question. Are you from Canada, brother?
I am, yeah.
I thought so because I heard you like such and such a boat. I'm like, what did he say? Did he say a boat?
No,
and I was like,
he was talking about.
I heard the boat.
Talking about a boat. He didn't say about.
I just noticed it. What are you talking about?
Here we go. The Americans v the Canadians. We need to get Panda. We need to get Panda.
We're the ones who have the proper English, not you guys.
Here we go.
And it's funny, both of us have the proper English compared to the Australians, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, look, when you talk about Game Pass and what we've had, we've got a shitload coming. We've got Starfield, Redfall, Forza. You got The Last Case, Love Benedict Fox, like you said, Valheim,
Warhammer 40k, Starfield,
Hollow Knight. You've got Stalker 2 that's going to come as well. Wulong's going in there. Flintlock. Man, there's Contraband, Outer Worlds 2, Avowed. Elder Scrolls 6, Fable, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2,
Horizon,
State of Decay 3. Like, there's just so much coming into Game Pass. It's about, and I won't even touch Vampire Survivors, man. I am not touching that game. Everyone, that's like Game Pass crack or something. People just start playing that.
Awesome.
And
that game is awesome.
Yeah, I'm not touching that game. I'm not even getting anywhere near it.
I can definitely see why it's so addictive too. I think I've put in, sporadically, maybe total of maybe 2 or 3 hours total, right? But in the time I did play it, it was addictive. So I can see why you all got so addicted to it, Pete.
Yeah, man. I don't need that.
Who it was, if it was Silent Cypher or Sourbloww looked at his time and he's 24 hours in. I'm scared to look at my time. I'm not looking at my time. I've had way too much time in that game, but in saying that, I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
I know Steph was heavy on it. I know Cozy was heavy on it. I think Cozy got all the achievements.
Steph got me into it.
Oh, yeah, both of them have all the achievements, don't they? Yeah.
But I mean, as well, we have had just absolute bangers. So Game Pass is just the thing, man. And it's a little bit of a pity. I don't want to go back to this FTC and CMA bullshit, but it's a little bit of a pity that PlayStation would throw out that they just cannot compete, because really all it takes is bringing in, let's be honest, this year we haven't had the first party titles, right? If PlayStation were to market as hard as Xbox has marketed Game Pass and release their first parties in, or at least the promise of a few first parties, they could 110% compete. They've got the subscriber count. The count's not there. So them talking about not being able to compete, it's just what you bring in. And they really do bring in some decent games into PS Plus. I mean, I check them monthly to see what's in there. And there is some good stuff. That Hot Wheels has been in PS Plus for quite some time. So there's stuff there. Just to hear that they can't compete with Game Pass is just absolute rubbish. But you need to bring those third-party bangers. And you need to put in your first parties for people to really start putting PS Plus in the conversation. And yeah, I mean, I'm
I
just
think
going.
that's just the narrative they're trying to draw into. I don't think that they actually believe that. I can't honestly think that they believe that.
Yeah, I mean, the CMA and the FTC may believe it. Plume, what do you think? Do you think it's possible that PS Plus can compete with? I mean, Game Pass is a juggernaut. There's no doubt. But do you think they could step up their offering and really start to compete if they try?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this multiple times on my channel. It's like they have the answer literally sitting right in front of them to be able to compete at the same level, but they just don't want to do it. They want to just continue to keep their ecosystem closed off, with which is keeping their first party stuff locked to the PS5. But I think like they are going to eventually do it. I honestly think that they will. You can kind of see them sort of hinting at knowing that they have to change their strategy with what they do, with like starting like the PlayStation PC, and then starting like more focusing on mobile, getting into the games as a service. Right now they're just like, we know that we don't have to put it in because we can put out God of War Ragnarok, sell the whatever 5-6 million right away, and we want to just continue to get that until there comes a point where subscription is so big. Subscription is the thing that you be able to be a leader in the industry. You're going to have. At that point, you're going to start seeing them putting their day one their first party stuff day one into PlayStation Plus. I think it's honestly inevitable. I think it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely, Monad. I did say that Hot Wheels is in PS Plus. Yeah, I picked it up a few months ago. It was one of their PS Plus games. Played a little bit of it. It's actually a really good game. So yeah, definitely grab that when it comes to Game Pass. Yeah, absolutely. And they are building games as a service games to go to PS Plus. So we know they're doing this. And then for them to say it's not, it's not comparable or competable, that's really up to them. It's got nothing to do with what Game Pass is doing.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, to a degree, it has something to do with it, what a Game Pass is doing, because Game Pass is doing it so well. Now they have to compete in that way. And that's the thing. Sony doesn't want to compete in that way. And stuff, Sean, like you said, I have the PS5, but after I get through the exclusive, you're right. It's sitting there collecting dust. I actually had to wipe off this PS5 the other day, actually. But and I gave my PS4 to my nephew to use for now. But yeah, as
I
far
was
as that
worried it
goes,
was collecting too much dust, and I put it in the cupboard, put it back in its box.
yeah. I just look at this gigantic obelisk and I'm like, you're just a terrible design. But anyway, as far as that goes, Risk, and it's like you said too, Plume. It's like if they don't invest into putting their first party games day and date, for me, it's already dead. Game Pass has set the way and they set the standard. I can't go from that to lesser, like, oh, we could play some of these older games. And didn't the PlayStation gamers, fanboys, tell us that they didn't buy a new $500 plus console to play old games? So why is it that they're even subscribed to PS Plus if that's the case? And that's the thing. Like it's ridiculous, this double standard. But yeah, for me, it'll always be the fact that they don't have first party games launching day and date, or at least soon. If they had it with a 6 month window or a year window or something, I could justify subscribing here and there or something like that. But they don't do that, but I think they'll eventually be forced into it. But yeah, I like you said too, Risk. It's on them at the end of the day, and they don't want to move away from their old model. They just don't.
I think this ABK deal goes through, and I'll move on to the next topic after this. But I think if this ABK deal goes through, it's going to twist their arm. I think that's the catalyst, and I think that's one of the other reasons why they're pushing so hard against it. Because at that point, they really don't have a choice, and if they don't move to day and dates at a minimum on PC, they're going to start to really fall behind in console adoption. They've already got the market, but you'll start to see other people heading over to Xbox just to play their third parties or to get those third parties for free, plus the first parties, and just do what we do, which is let the PS5 collect dust until they release a new exclusive. Moving on to the next topic and the last and final topic, but it's one that we talked about, and a bit of a surprise thing, and we were all a little bit like on the same page on this one. Like we're like, fuck yeah, cool. Before I do, please hit the subscribe button if you are new here. If you are not new, hit the like button. Share us out. We go live at 7 p.m. EST every Friday. Starship Troopers game is in development, which is really cool, man. And if you're a 80s, 90s child, you know what Starship Troopers is, and it sounds like a really cool thing. I love the movie, man. Rico's Roughnecks. I mean, that is just like
Roughnecks are these.
it's like a testosterone-filled aliens, like action. Love it, man. It's like some of those 90s and 80s movies are just awesome, dude, for that sort of shit.
It's clever, nice action, lovable characters. What's not to love about Starship Troopers, the original movie, at least?
Absolutely. Bobby Hawk, you don't have any games on PS5, so it definitely will collect. It will collect dust. Love you, Bobby. Love you. Starship Troopers, what it is going to be a 12-player squad-based co-op first-person shooter inspired, obviously, by the 1997 film. I couldn't believe it was that old, man. I was like, what? Surely that was a 2000s movie, but it wasn't. I'm just getting really old. So yeah, look, I'm super excited for this, man. I really want to play it. They've also got an Aliens game coming, like another 80s testosterone filled, but they had a heroine who like nailed it. I mean, Ripley was awesome. Like this is going to be, I'm loving that they're doing some of these things and bringing them back. It's going to be a 50v50 multiplayer shooter. There's going to be a 12-player co-op. It's going to be squad-based. Man, I'm looking forward to it. I really hope.
Who was developing it? I forgot. Did they say who was developing
Off-World Industries.
Off-World Industries.
Off-World Industries. So they are a newer or a little less known developer. So I'm hoping they nail it out the gate. I'm not super hopeful, but it's cool, man, that they're doing this and this sort of shit gets supported. Plume, are you a Starship Troopers fan?
Yeah, I mean the movie's cool. It's awesome. So when they announced this, I was like, I mean, why not? Like, why not? This is something that looks like it's going to be just a fun shoot 'em up. You know, just hang out with your friends and go and do the co-op stuff and 50v50 multiplayer shoot. That sounds like it's gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But the off-world industries, I was looking at them up. I don't really know too much about them. They do seem like a newer developer.
Oh shit!
So it'll be...
Hang on, sorry to interrupt there, but I'm gonna say I messed up while I was reading. It's actually 50v50 multiplayer shooter they did recently. So this is 12-player squad-based co-op. Okay, and then the game that they did recently was Beyond the Wire, which I'll bring up and show on the screen. Sorry, man. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all good. Yeah, but it'll be cool to see like how it turns out from this developer. Seemingly, I mean, I've never played anything from them. I don't know if you guys have, but they're seemingly more unknown. So see how it turns out. Hopefully, it's not just it's not a clunky
mess,
lower tier. Yeah, type of thing. So
disappointment, one of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully we don't get that. But I mean, look, I was just looking at their Beyond the Wire stuff, and it didn't look too bad. I kind of remember this, so it didn't look too bad. Never got a chance to play. It was specifically PC. Pete, are you a Starship Troopers fan?
How can you not be a Starship Troopers fan? Dina Myers, Denise Richards, that movie is just 90s action at its absolute best. And yeah, I think it will fit into a video game really, really good. There's various different types of bugs you can kill. It'll be like a horde mode, with all the bugs coming towards you. There's lovable characters. There's, you can use their psychic abilities. This game could be really, really special. I just had a look at Off-World Industries, and they've only really made militaristic shooters, sim-like games in that 50 versus 50 or that 12v12. So it'll be interesting how they come up with how they look at this game. Will it be more like that, or will it be a single-player game? So definitely need to see more, but I do think that there's big potential for Starship Troopers to be a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. And just looking at the footage of Beyond the Wire, man, it's not a massive AAA Battlefield 1 type. This is World War One, like the era.
See the Harlem Hill fighters, all right.
Yeah, but it actually looks really good. I would check this out if it were on console. It's not. But Umbra, obviously, you're a Starship Troopers fan.
Major. I mean, Bushido just hit it in the chat. Doing my part. I love that part of the movie. I love that propaganda. And it's like Poppy pointed out too. Poppy Taney pointed out it's the best anti-propaganda film. And he's right, exactly what it is. They have a lot of tongue-in-cheek moments in the movies. if they can capture a lot of that, I think the game will excel. And it's like Pete said, it's a horde mode style type of game. So it's a 12-player thing that you've split up into 4 squads, and you're going to be gathering resources, building bases, establishing defenses, as well as exterminating the bugs. So I'm excited to see how they handle that. And do we know what engine they're using? Is it going to be Unreal Engine 5 or anything? Do we know?
No, I couldn't find
Not
anything on
enough
the engine.
information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping
Yeah,
it's.
yeah.
I'm hoping it's
What were you
UE5.
saying?
I'm hoping it's UE5.
Yeah, same. And I think many of us would love most games to start using Unreal Engine 5, being honest. But yeah, man.
Yeah, so in
I'm
saying that,
excited.
Umbra, Callisto Protocol's using the last iteration of Unreal Engine 4, I think Digital Foundry said.
Really?
And that looked amazing. Yeah, it's so it's Unreal Engine 4.4. That looks amazing. I can't wait for 5.
It
You're
does.
right. We need to move over.
We do. And I'm surprised that's the last of 4, but I guess it makes some sense. It's like it's right there, right? But it's beautiful, man. Gorgeous game. But yeah, I'm excited as hell for this, man. I just hope that I mean, like I said, I don't know much about them. I've never played any of their games, but the game you just showed of theirs does look pretty good. And I don't know, maybe they've grown from that, and they'll do even better with this. I'm hoping that's the case. Like I'm iffy on it, because I don't know enough of them, and I don't know if they have the track record necessarily to prove it. But maybe this is something where it can elevate. It happens, right? You have certain studios that elevate with that next game. So I look at like a CD Projekt Red, for instance. They elevated themselves. They went from part 2 of Witcher to part 3, and it was leaps and bounds different, in quality. So it could be the case for them here, and I'm just hoping that is the case because it's a quality IP in my opinion.
Yeah, well, they stepped from AA to AAA. Really, is what CD Projekt Red did. So it's always good to see if a developer does do that. However, I'm hoping this is not an Aliens Fire Team reskinned.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's leaving Game Pass, but I mean they got the sound right. There was something so it was a hollow game. It needed a little bit of soul, a little bit more depth to it, and it probably would have been a good game. But look, I'm hoping it's not. Hopefully they're respectful of the franchise. I love that franchise. Starship Troopers is an awesome movie. But look, guys, that is the show for the week. Look, I'd like to thank Plume. You're an absolute champion. Really appreciate you coming on the show, man, letting us know your takes. Please let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, what you're looking forward to playing this year. And Merry Christmas.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It was an awesome time. Where can you find me? So Plume Network on YouTube. That's my YouTube channel. Plume Network on Twitter. And then I'm on the Xbox International podcast every Wednesdays at 7 p.m. In terms of what I'm playing upcoming, so I'm going to keep playing some Need for Speed. I'm probably going to jump into Sonic Frontiers next couple of days whenever I get it. I got it for Black Friday, so should be coming in the mail soon. And checking out some more Game Pass stuff. But again, guys, thanks for having me on. It was great talking with you, talking games, and also Merry Christmas to you all too.
Absolutely, man. It was awesome to have you on. And if you want to, again, find our guests or any one of the panel members, you can head down to the description after the show and all of their links will be there. Pete, another fantastic show. Thank you for coming on every week and giving us your takes, even though most of them were actually right this week. I loved it. Except for the Star Wars thing. Obviously, the last 3 movies were the best. But let people know where they can find you, what you'll be up to, what you're looking forward, and Merry Christmas to you as well, my friend.
Twitter at JediKnightPeter, at Xbox at JediKnightPeter. I will be playing Callisto Protocol this week mostly. Probably throw in a little bit of COD. Maybe me and Moned will finish Evil West as well. Happy birthday, Riskit, for tomorrow, mate. Umbra, welcome to the RDX club, brother. I mean, it took you a while, but hey, we got there. We got you there in the end.
It was like 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks time.
And Plume, thank you very much for coming on the show, mate. You were awesome. I've watched a lot of your videos. Just absolutely great content. Go subscribe to Plume Network. He's always on point with his takes.
Absolutely. And look, Umbra, I'll go to you next, obviously, because you're the last panel member that we haven't said later. So yeah, look, thanks for coming on the show every week, giving us your takes. It's been a little bit over a year, guys. I don't know if you guys know, But we have ticked over a year on the podcast, and it's been amazing. And Umbra and Pete have been there every step of the way. You guys have been absolutely amazing. You guys have been absolutely amazing. I appreciate you both. And Umbra, I appreciate your takes more because normally they're right. Pete's like,
yeah. He absolutely does that growl. I love it when I'm killing him in a game. He's like, hey. I'm like, oh yeah. Music to my ears.
Please let the people know. Let the people know where they can find you, what you guys will be, what you'll be playing, what you'll be up to the next week, what you're looking forward to. Merry Christmas to you as well.
I appreciate it, man. I think we'll probably meet up before Christmas time, though. I think we got some time, so I appreciate the sentiment. But I think we'll have a few shows before that, before we have to do that. But yeah, Merry Christmas. I don't know if anybody's time and Christmas comes before ours. I don't think it does, but yeah. But yeah, Plume, man, I want to give you love for coming through. Appreciate you coming through and giving us your takes and all that. And I don't know what all of that is about. A boot. But no, I'm just joking. A boot? No, just joking. But yeah, man, appreciate you coming through and giving us your takes and everything like that. Of course, you two and Cutie who left as far as host and co-host. You guys always appreciate you guys' takes and knowledge on things as well. The chat, man, thank you all for coming through and supporting us as you all have. Love and respect and appreciation to all of you all who are. A lot of you all are our friends as well, so we really appreciate you guys coming out to support. And of course, you can find me on Twitter under Umbra Infinite or Infinite Umbra. You'll find me either way. And on Xbox Factor on Tuesdays at 11 Eastern now, and of course here on Fridays at 7 Eastern. And yeah, man, I'll be playing Calisto all this week too. I think Bobby claimed that he beat it already.
Yeah, man.
That's a little alarming if you beat it that fast.
Yeah,
it's way too. If you beat it that fast, I'm returning this game.
It's not a very long game, but it looks to be a very good game in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to try to beat it and return it. Wish me luck. But what if they give it to me too? I got all 36 achievements. I'm like, hey, I want to return this. The stuttering was just too much. I couldn't handle that. But you did all it. But you had it for 8 hours, sir. That's not important. What's it? Yeah, but we'll see. I'm going to be playing a lot of that. If we can get some Halo community night out, if you all hit me up and you all want to do that, I will put some time out for that.
Huggy definitely hit me up yesterday. He said he wants to do it, so we will most likely be doing it.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Oh, 17 hours, he says. 17 hours and 13 seconds. Wow.
I just looked it up. Wow. Yeah. Well, look, 17 hours is not terrible. A 20-hour campaign is decent.
No, that's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
And then
I'll still return it though if I can get through it.
And then don't forget, there's also going to be campaign DLC. But look, guys in the chat, all of you who wish me a happy birthday, thank you. It is my 20th, so it's a big one. I can't wait. And no, it's not my beard turning.
Happy birthday to Riskit, by the way. It's tomorrow, right?
Yeah. It's not my beard turning 20 either. Silent Cypher. Didn't appreciate that comment. Gonna ban you. No, you guys are absolutely amazing in the chat, coming in every week and supporting us. At one point I think we had 90 people in, and the support from all of you guys has been absolutely fucking phenomenal, and I appreciate every single one of you. And I wish I could respond more in the chat, but I'm usually moving and shaking in the background here. But I do try. I'm trying harder and harder to get those fingers on the keyboard. But just know that I see most of what you guys say, and I appreciate everything that you guys do coming here and supporting us. So thank you so much, except for you, Bobby. I hope your PlayStation catches fire. No, I love the guy. But that's the show for the week. If you want to find me, I'm down in the description. Check me out there, and I'll be playing Calisto Protocol for most of the week. And thank you guys. You guys are amazing. We are out.
Later, guys.
Much love.
You guys.